Good evening. We're going to start. I want to welcome everybody to Community Education Council 2. Happy New Year. You all had a good holiday season. In the absence of the recording secretary, I will take the roll. Pri Boparai. Pri Boparai is present. Allison Bowen is absent. Daniela Egorov is absent, and she's excused. She submitted an excusal request. Gavin Healy. Gavin Healy is present. Charles Love is absent. Maud Marin is absent. She is excused. Sonal Patel is present. Jessica Savage is absent, and she is excused from this evening's proceedings. Sarah Schachter Ehrenberg is present. Sabina Serenise is absent, and she is excused from the proceedings. Leonard Silverman is absent, and Craig Slutskin is present, so which means we have 5. We do not have a quorum. We do expect a quorum. There are a couple of members that are running late because of, I guess, issues with traffic. So we do expect to, we'll go to the student reps as well in a second. But from the voting reps, we have 5. We do expect a quorum for tonight. I will also take the attendance for the student representatives. Lila Jason. Okay, she'll be late. Okay, and Alexandra Stillman. Is present. Okay. So I'd like to start off the meeting again by asking for civility towards one another and respect towards each other. I realize I ask for this every month. I'm going to once again implore everyone to show respect when others are speaking, and this goes both ways. I will ask council members and the audience to respect and to listen and pay attention to each other. I will also ask members of the audience to let others be heard. Everyone has the right to speak, not only to speak, but to be heard. Please no heckling, please no profanity. We have students here potentially listening at home. We don't have to agree or even listen to other people, but everyone does have a right to speak their mind on issues that are important to them. We'll also ask that comments in the chat be kept respectful as well. If we have vicious back and forth, profanity, the council does reserve the right to shut off the chat function. Is that better? Is this better? It's okay. Louder is good. Okay. So, the first order of business is the presentation of resolutions. We'll start off with resolution 266, resolution to affirm CEC2 support of NYCPS guidelines to support transgender and gender expansive students and rescind resolution 248. Would anybody like to speak on this resolution? Councilmember Healy.
Can you hear me? Okay, great. I'll keep this fairly brief because we have been talking about this, but I do want to add a few additional things. I think everyone here by now knows what resolution 248 that was passed by this council in March is about. Though the main sponsor of resolution 248 described it as an attempt to have a polite conversation about the DOE's gender guidelines, I think we can all see through that. And I think we know that the true intent of resolution 248 is to challenge the right of transgender students to exist as their authentic selves in our public schools. These are guidelines that the DOE adopted more than 5 years ago, and they're in accordance with state and city human rights law. And they've been implemented by the DOE without incident since 2019. So 6 years now. Maud Marin, the primary sponsor of resolution 248, says she just wants to have a polite conversation with people about the inclusion of trans girls in sports. But She's also publicly stated that trans kids don't exist. She has publicly referred to the LGBTQ woke religion in our public schools. And when a member of the public spoke at one of our meetings and identified herself as a proud queer woman, Maud turned around and said, "That means she's a straight girl without a boyfriend." This is not someone who is interested in a polite conversation. If you think Maud Marin wants to have a polite conversation about trans kids, there's a bridge just outside the school that I'd like to sell you. This is someone who bullies children. This is someone whose idea of parental rights is to be able to determine the gender of other people's children. This is someone obsessed with the genitals of other people's kids. Someone who wants an evolutionary biologist to sit on a committee to talk about school sports is not looking to talk about school sports. And we know that consistently misgendering someone is a form of bullying, whether it's directed at trans kids or cis kids. It's not compelled speech to ask kids to stop bullying other kids and to ask adults to stop bullying kids. And misgendering someone as bullying is about asserting dominance and control. It's the bully saying, "You don't get to determine your own identity. I do." It's an attempt to assert power over another person. And so in that regard, I don't want it to be all negative. I want to give a shout out here to Leonard Silver. He's not here. I wish he was here, but I have to say, I've heard Mr. Silverman occasionally misgender people from this stage, but each time he has accepted correction, he's apologized, and he's worked to do better. And I appreciate that. And there may be some exasperation in his voice at times, but I don't think he misgendered anyone out of malice. I want to acknowledge that. But Maud Marin is another story. She misgenders people because she wants to assert control over them. It's intentional and it's malicious. I believe absolutely that Maud Marin is entitled to her opinion about biological sex and gender. She's entitled to live her life in a narrow box consumed by her own bigotry and hate. But she's not entitled to drag anyone else into that box with her. You can really hear the malice in her voice when she misgenders people. It's an attempt to assert dominance. Maud Marin misgenders Chase Strangio because she wants to take control. She knows that Chase Strangio can run circles around her as an attorney. She knows that Chase Strangio can run circles around her as a human being. And that frightens her to her core. So let's rescind Resolution 240. Let's move on from bullying kids to supporting them in their academic journeys. That's what we should be doing as a community education council. That's all I have to say right now about Resolution 248. Thank you.
Thank you. The next resolution is Resolution 267. Resolution urging New York City Public Schools to promote inclusion of and correct bias against English language learners in the administration of the CHSAT and admissions to specialized high schools. Does anybody wish to speak on this resolution? Councilmember Healy.
Thank you. As I think some of you know, we tried to bring this resolution last month as well. Both of these resolutions, we did not have a quorum last month, so we could not vote on the resolutions. Since then, the Panel for Educational Policy approved a contract with a company called Pearson to implement a digital version of the specialized high school admissions test, which is the test, which is the sole entry method for admissions to 8 specialized high schools. And that's by state law. And so this resolution is designed to expand the pipeline to those 8 schools. I don't think it's controversial. And I imagine groups like Place NYC that elected the majority of our CEC members. So if we don't have a quorum at a meeting, you can blame Place NYC because they elected 7 of these members. And they profess to be advocates for high achieving immigrant students. And so I expect they'll be eager to jump on board with this resolution as part of their advocacy for the SHSAT. And I also would extend an olive branch to our CEC's English language learner representative on Marin. I hope she'll see this as an opportunity to begin some kind of advocacy for the neglected community of English language learners in our district. There are 16,000 students in our 8 specialized high schools, and 4 of them are classified as English language learners. That's not 4%, that's 4 individual students. That's 0.026% of our specialized high school students. English language learners make up 16% of New York City public school students overall. And in the 2023-2024 school year, there was 1 English language learner at Stuyvesant High School, 1 at Brooklyn Latin, and 2 at Brooklyn Tech. The other 5 specialized high schools have 0. Of course, there are other students at these schools who may have been classified as English language learners at one point in their academic career, but not many. New York City Public Schools classifies students who graduated from English language learner status within the previous 2 school years as former ELLs. That's a term under the DOE. Brooklyn Tech has about 20 former ELLs. According to the STI's comprehensive education program plan, they had 22 former English language learners last year. And so those students who are former English language learners are still eligible to receive some kinds of English as a new language support, including some like additional after school help, some other resources available to them, like pulling them out of a classroom for some assistance. And so, I mean, groups like Place NYC talk about preserving these schools as sort of dream factories for immigrant students. So I hope that they will make good on that talk by supporting this resolution to call for the SHSAT to be administered in multiple languages. The DOE already does this with other standardized tests. It did so with the gifted and talented exam when that was done as an exam. And there are resources in all of these schools, including teachers with ENL certification, to assist these students. And so CEC2 has been a source of vocal support for accelerated education options. And I think it's time for this CEC to offer those options to our newcomers. I don't know if we'll be able to vote on this resolution today because we still didn't have a quorum, but I would just like to say that I'm happy to repeat it again at another meeting if we do not make quorum tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. We will now go into our program presentations. We are pleased tonight to be able to welcome members of the New York City School Construction Authority, the SCA as they are fondly known, come once a year to talk about the projects in our district. And we will also vote later in the working business session about projects that we would like to prioritize, the SCA to prioritize over the next few years. I'm also going to note that Councilmember Silverman has joined the meeting. Thank you. I just want to note for the record that Councilmember Charles Love is here. We do have a quorum, and Student Representative Lila Jason is here as well. That's that right.
Excellent. Okay. Okay, good evening, everybody. This is the CEC2 presentation on the School Construction Authority's November amendment for our 2025 through 2029 capital plan. Could we scroll up to the next slide, please? Maybe. Yes. It's not reacting on here. There it goes. Okay. All right. You could probably go to the next slide now. I could probably get to this before it pops up. So the agenda for this evening is to go over the plan highlights, the capacity program, the capital improvement program, and the Resolution A program, which is funding from elected officials, and the CEC comment form, and any questions or comments you have on the capital plan amendment. Okay, we can actually pop to the next one too. This is actually a picture of Park West High School. It doesn't look like this now. I believe we already have some scaffold removed. So we're all well on our way to completing this project and returning the school back to its normal use. Okay. You could probably hit next now. So we have a total amount of 20.5 billion allotted between 4 programs. The capacity program, this is our program where we provide funding for building new schools, additions to new schools, and replacements for schools that have leases that are expiring. 2.28 billion for healthy schools. This is redevelopment of playgrounds and the cafeteria enhancement experience. We also have 7.54 billion, I believe, for the capital improvement project. This is projects that you typically see around your neighborhoods at our schools, which include scaffolding and sidewalk sheds. This is exterior repairs on your buildings. This could be new boiler projects, resolving leaks in the basement or cellars of the building, what we call flood elimination. And I believe about 3 billion for mandated programs. These are programs that we do to resolve local law compliance or compliance with city, state, and federal regulations. Now, for some citywide highlights for new capacity alone, this is, of course, citywide, 6.13 billion for new capacity. Again, this is new buildings, additions for those existing buildings. Electrification, 1.4 billion allotted through the citywide to fully electrify our existing buildings, gutting out the existing equipment that is in that building and replacing with a fully electrified system, which would be more functional for the building. We have 1.25 billion for technology. So this is upgrades to telecom systems, internet systems, to allow greater capacity of the building and allow for the phone systems to be new and more functional and easier of use for the end user. 800 million allotted for accessibility. This is ADA accessible ramps. It's billion. It's a typo, yeah. Accessibility, we call it path of travel. So this is ADA accessible ramps, ADA accessible bathrooms when we're doing upgrades to facilities, such as including new elevators for those buildings. Exactly. So we're putting in new elevators, new ramps, and where that elevator is going up, we're modifying some of those restrooms on each particular floor to have, so those ADA students can have accessible spaces to use the restroom. Thank you. Physical education space upgrade, 40 million. So this is just upgrades to physical education spaces to make it more useful for the students. And the cafeteria enhancement experience, 150 million. This is upgrades to server relocations to make the food and the place more appealing to students, so they could, try to choose healthier options when they're at school. We can go to the next slide. Okay. So talked a lot about a capacity program, but within the capacity program for the 6.98 billion, I had mentioned new capacity. Replacement program is 400 million. You can actually go to the next slide now. 400 million. This is to replace lease spaces that are no longer renewing their leases. So we're moving these schools to new sites. Capacity to support temporary classroom unit removals. These are temporary buildings outside of schools, typically on playgrounds. So when we remove the TCU, there's also funding allotted to redevelop that playground so the kids can use that space again. And 200 million for early education. So that's 3K sites for DOE and CBOs. So how does something end up on our capital plan? There's a number of ways. Every year, there is a building condition assessment survey. This is done in all of our buildings around the city. This is an inspection of the interior and exterior. They're looking at the architectural side of the building, the mechanical spaces and mechanical equipment, and the electrical capacity of the building. And they're rating these services in the building on a scale of 1 to 5. 1 being the best, 5 being the worst. And those items that they observe that are in bad shape could end up on our capital plan for a repair project. Again, these project types could be exterior masonry, window replacement, new parapet systems, which is the low wall at the top of a roof, roof replacement, flood elimination, boiler replacement, low voltage systems like PA systems in the building. We could also get requests from DSF, Division of School Facilities, on reported issues. Say the custodian is looking at something in the building and they say, well, this type of work request we got from somebody reporting it to us, or something that we observed is kind of outside of our scope to repair this work. This could be reported up to the SEA, and we could scope this out, design a project, and move forward with a capital improvement upgrade. Again, mandated repairs, local law compliance, city, state, federal regulations that we need to abide by. Reso A, or Resolution A program upgrades. This is specific capital improvement upgrades that a school may want in their facility. And the funding typically comes from the city council member or the borough president to upgrade their facilities. This could be something like a new supplemental cooling system in a PA space. It could be a library upgrade, it could be an auditorium upgrade, it could be a gym upgrade, it could be a green roof, anything. As long as it meets capital eligibility requirements. And of course, the request from the city education councils sending us their requests for capital improvement upgrades at their respective schools. We go to the next slide. Sorry, I should have done that earlier. I think when the next slide pops up, you can actually start to go to the next slide, because I think that's Reso A again. Oh, no, don't. Let's go to this, sorry. So some District 2's capital improvement project highlights. This is capital improvement upgrades that are coming up for CEC2. So we got a few cafeteria, multi-purpose room upgrades, some climate control upgrades. This is just climate control systems involving upgrades to, I believe, their building management system. Exterior masonry, flood elimination. You can actually hit the next slide now. Kitchen areas, roof replacement, school safety. So this is what we call IPDVS, or these are security cameras that'll be put around the school and inside the school to make sure kids are safe. And it also includes, I believe, upgrades to school safety desks and window replacements. Oh, shoot. All right, I can't remember. Okay. All right, so here's a couple CIP or capital improvement project photos around the district. So PS1, Alfred E. Smith, beautiful building, brand new windows, brand new masonry completed, new roofing system. We took down the scaffolding, some sidewalk shed remaining, which we hope to take down pretty soon as well. School will have their school back to them. All these new upgrades help the building keep cooler during the summer, keep warmer during the winter. PS234 Independent School. You probably, if you haven't been to that neighborhood, you've probably seen the sidewalk shed there and the scaffold there. That is down as well. We've nearly completed that project. Julia Richmond Education Complex. We're doing an exterior modification project there as well. And the M126 Jacob August Reed School, which we are doing an exterior mod upgrade, which is, of course, we can go to the next slide. All of these projects focus on making sure that the building is watertight and heat and cooling retentive. Okay, we can hit next. So Resolution 8 projects, as I mentioned, are school-specific capital improvement enhancement projects that we get funding for from the city council, the borough presidents, or individual grants for upgrades to the existing school facility. As I mentioned, these could be green roofs, could be hydroponics lab upgrades, auditorium, gym upgrades, supplemental cooling like split unit systems in the space. A couple District 2 reso highlights that we've completed since 2015 and to current. 47 auditorium upgrades, 11 electrical system upgrades, 12 library upgrades, and 26 playground upgrades. We can do next as well. Oh, NWB. Is that the next one? Okay. Yes. CEC request form. Okay, so the CEC request form for you folks. Top 5 requests need to be in by January 17th. I'm sure you've been working on them already. Their requests after the top 5, you have until the end of April. Now, when putting in your requests for the top 5, a couple things you should take a look at. Number 1, take a look at our capital plan if you haven't already done so. It will show which schools are having work being done and the work that's upcoming in the building. Check with your custodial engineer about projects that for that respective school. What projects have been done here that you know of? And do you know what's going on in the school right now? And then you can take a look at the BCAS report for that respective school and get an idea of how that item has been rated, and that could help you inform your decision on, say, maybe I want to move forward with a capital improvement project for a window replacement because this window was rated a 4, but it doesn't look like they had a window project here last year or 5 years ago. It doesn't look like they have one going on now, and it doesn't look like they have one going on in the future. And that might give you an idea of what you should, move forward with on what your request should be. And then the last slide is my contact information. Any questions?
We'll start with Councilmember Boparai.
Thank you so much. As I start the visits for this school year, I wanted to kind of have a better idea. What are we, in terms of air quality, that's come up a few times? Are there projects already happening in terms of improving, like putting in the ventilation systems, or is that been on hold? I'm asking because I don't know.
Yes, we actually have a HVAC upgrade going on now, I believe, at Julia Richmond. So that's a type of project where we're doing a ventilation project. They're not happening at all the schools. I mean, they may have already been completed. Maybe there's some coming up. But those projects would improve ventilation in the building. Of course, if there's particular concerns about air quality in a specific school, you can always follow up with the UFT for that as well.
Councilmember Silverman.
Yeah, I know that being a resident of New York City, I've seen those signs that we have on my building, for example. You get letter grades and A's, and we're unfortunately I live in a D building. But are the schools exempt from these type of regulations in terms of carbon and credits? Or
I actually don't know about the exemptions, but they do have the ratings on the doors. I believe PS2 might have it at the front, but I've been to a number of schools that have their ratings. I can't say if we've done a particular project. If I went back to that school and noticed that the rating went up, I haven't checked, but I could probably look. But I'm not sure if schools are particularly. Do we know? Okay. Then they are not exempt.
so they're not exempt.
Yeah.
And is there a push to get the schools to upgrade the heating systems to use the different types of oil? I know that in the city, they've been pushing for, is it the higher, lower number oils,
It's like biodiesel, biofuel, yes.
biofuel? So how is that going in terms of trying to convert to more environmentally friendly type of fuel sources?
Councilmember Healy.
So I want to ask this question because it's like a very common question in like PTA meetings. And it's not just the schools, it's other buildings as well. But it's so many, I've heard so many people say like, oh, my child started at a school in kindergarten and there was like a sidewalk shed up or a sidewalk shed and scaffolding. And now they're in 5th grade and there's still still a sidewalk shed and scaffolding up. So what's up? And again, it's not just schools, it's, you know, I can walk past like 3 or 4 buildings just a few blocks from my house and this same thing for, you know, year after year. So what like what's up with that and what should people be maybe doing about that?
Sure. So I guess in this kind of instance, I'm not sure which particular school. Let's say we get a emergency condition at a school. Sorry, let's say we get an emergency condition at a school, like a piece of brick cracked, or you know, a piece of material fell off the building. That'd be an immediately hazardous condition that we need to resolve. We would get a request, either DSF would inform us, we would get something from somebody else, and it would be in the form of a red dot request. In an instance, we would install a sidewalk shed immediately to make it safe. While the sidewalk shed is installed, now we need to go through the process of investigating the issue. So that is a timely process. We need to scope it out, but it may not just be, well, this piece of brick fell. Let's just scope out that piece of brick and repair that. Could be a systemic issue with the facade all around. Could be an issue with, maybe when we're doing the investigation, we observe that the parapets and the roof need to be replaced too, and the windows. So this kind of scope and design phase could take up to a year and a half to 2 to do that whole process. And then the actual bid and award phase and moving through the project could be an additional 2 years, depending on the scope of work. Now, let's say it's not a red dot request. Let's just say it's a regular capital improvement project that we got through BCAS report. And it didn't have a sidewalk shed or emergency condition, so we went out there, went through the normal process, scope design. You don't have a shed at that time, and then we bid an award, and now we're actually on site. We install the sidewalk shed. We set up all the scaffolding, and we're doing the work. We anticipated to take like 2 years or so, and we get to the parapet level or something, or we pull back some exterior masonry, and we find, oh, there's no the mortar behind here is crumbling. Well, let's check if this is just this area or some other area. Now we find it's kind of another systemic issue that we didn't anticipate that could add additional time to it. We don't want to just repair a small piece and say, oh, well, you know, let's just leave that as is and come back later. But that additional type of work could, depending on the scope of it, what the architect or engineer observes, could add an additional 6 months to that project, and you know, you have those kind of issues. Ideally, we don't want to have those issues, but if they are observed, we want to fix them before we leave. We don't want to have to do a repair project for 2 years and then you see us come back a year and a half later after we complete it, and everyone's like, well, what's going on? You were just here. So
Is there any tracking? Sorry, is there any other questions from my council members before I ask mine? Is there any tracking mechanism where, let's say we put in our requests 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 this year, where we can actually see, go in and see, not have to beg for the information where they are? So for example, I don't know that we put in a request last year, but we put the previous council, the council member Silverman, council member Patel might be able to speak on it, but they put in certain requests. The last council, the council before that. Is there any way that we would know where these requests are? Because what I'm trying to figure out is how much you actually listen to us? How well do you actually take our requests and implement them? Or are we at the bottom and they're, bottom of the rack? I'm just trying to understand that. I'm not saying you don't, but I have no idea. And someone who's, as Len has been on the council for what, 6 years now? 6 years now. I'm assuming you've put in requests over the years and you probably have no idea. Right. Like, right, right. But what is the tracking mechanism to see how much you are listening to us in CEC 1 and 3 and 4 and 5, etc.?
Sure. So, I believe around November of last year, we had provided responses to your requests in the form of like a spread, oh, not a, similar to a spreadsheet, on your requests for the specific school. And then we provided a comment from the capital planning team on if this project, if there's a capital project is moving forward, if one already exists, or if we cannot prioritize it at this time, meaning we cannot perform this project this time due to a lack of funding. If I would take a look at that form, I can re-forward it to you again if you'd like to, if you'd like me to.
Right,
Once I
but
finish here,
that doesn't completely answer my question, because I'm not speaking so much about the projects that we asked for last year. I'm asking for the projects that each of the CECs, not just CEC2, have asked 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago. We track it, because if you said, if this CEC put in a request 4 years ago, and then 3 years ago you said, hey, that's a good idea, we're going to put it on our list, we're going to do it. Well, how do you communicate to us in 2 years ago and 1 year ago what the status is? I'm not just talking about what we did last year and you saying, well, we're going to do it. I'm actually trying to figure out, over a period of time, are you actually doing what you're listening to us and then actually implementing what you're saying you're going to implement?
Yeah. So, just like every year, we send those responses to you folks, assuming you send in requests. If you got a response that said a capital project would move forward for, I don't know, M234, for example, and you requested roof replacement, right? Then you could take a look at our capital plan. It may not be immediate, probably be on the next amendment, and it would appear roof replacement for such and such, right? For a specific school. If it said we cannot prioritize it at this time, that's the response for, now, if there's any specific schools that you have in mind that you made requests for and you're wondering where they are, I could certainly check it.
Well, to my point, I wasn't here 5 years ago. I don't know what they put in. I wouldn't know what they would have put in. I guess I can go back to the meetings.
In the last 5 years.
I'm sorry?
The last 5 years, I can send those.
Yeah, I mean, I think that would be a useful tool to show projects that you say you were going to implement, or at least try to implement over the past 5 years. And I think that would be a welcome tool, again, not just to CEC2, but to CEC1, CEC3, 4, 5, 6, 7, it's CCHS, etc. Because I think that would be a useful tool to see, are our efforts actually going anywhere?
Right.
You have a question?
I was gonna say, like, if it hasn't been documented, maybe this is something we can continue to document moving forward. Right, moving forward, we could have more of a documentation, the requests that are made and which projects, how much of those requests are accepted.
Sure, I can certainly bring it back to our capital planning team.
Something to think about. But I appreciate you saying that, yeah, with the shed, the scaffolding, it is, because they do have to be put up as soon as, for safety of the students, because there was an instance where, when something falls and a child is walking by, it's important that the sheds are in place. So
Sure, I know they're unsightly, but
yeah, no, I know they don't look so good, but it's
Yeah.
just safety wise. It's yeah, something fell on my head once. I was like, I am all for protecting until the job is complete.
As long as the work is actually being done. For example, on my block, I had next door, the shed's been up for 14 years. So
which school is this?
that's not a school. That's next door to where I live. They've
those
been there
private.
for 14 years.
All right.
Rubin Museum. So. But in any event, any other questions from the council? Oh.
Yeah, I just think, I think it's great that you guys come and you talk to us, annually, and I see some of you look familiar. I recognize you. I've seen you before. I would just say, I think that one thing that would be very positive is if there was more of an outreach on a school by school basis, because there's different resources at different schools, there's different parent engagement, and there's different connections with the CEC. And, I appreciate that you come and you give the presentations, but I think what would really be helpful is if at least there was an outreach to each individual school so that they had some sort of process set up so they could advocate, and they could advocate to us, and they could advocate to the community in general and to the school superintendent and get that funding and the resume, all the different methodology that you have to get the funding. Because I think there's a lot of people and a lot of schools that really have no idea what's going on. And I think it's great that you have the outreach here, but I think it needs to be on a grassroots level on a school by school basis. And I know that's a lot to ask because there's a lot of schools in the city, but I think would go a long way to be more equitable and really giving parents the resources that we need in order to secure the funding and address individual projects that schools might have.
Absolutely.
Any other questions or comments from the council? Okay, well, thank you very much, Josh. I appreciate you coming, and thank everybody. Tom,
Thank
good
you.
to see you. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen. Okay. So, oh, well, they gave me, I have another one. Leave it there. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so we're now gonna go to the public speaker session. Each person, thanks, Tom. Good seeing you. Each person will have 2 minutes to speak. We have a number of speakers. I ask each person to keep their remarks to the 2 minutes. Council member Silverman is going to call out names, and council member, yes, and council member Boparai is going to work on the microphone over there.
I'm going to start with the general disclaimer that I have difficulty with pronunciation and reading people's handwriting, but it looks like the first speaker will be Amaya Perez, followed by Andre De Castro. So if you could please come up. Amaya Perez. And then we're going to have speaker number 2 will be Andre De Castro. And then after that, we have Laura Bell.
Hello. Okay. Good evening, council members. On Monday, I attended the Academic Affairs Committee meeting for this district, where a panel included a district parent and 2 members of the LGBT community. They discussed the impact of gender ideology on kids, particularly gay kids, during this meeting. The audience engaged in open discussion, asking questions and sharing opinions that often conflicted with the panel's views. If we can facilitate open discussions like we did on Monday, why is the push for open dialogue about trans sports consistently stifled through resolutions like Resolution 266? This committee meeting clearly illustrated that these conversations are not just possible, they are essential. Regardless of the opinions of certain council members like Gavin, every voice deserves respect and must be heard. Resolution 266 perpetuates the dangerous idea that merely discussing gender guidelines can somehow lead to an increase in trans suicides. In reality, apart from some hurt feelings, no lives were lost from an exchange or differing opinions on Monday's meeting. Let's be clear, Resolution 266 is not merely an attempt to uphold flawed gender guidelines, it's an effort to silence dissent against radical ideological agenda. It falsely suggests that to achieve inclusivity and diversity, we must sacrifice girls' sports, safe spaces, and safety. The landscape is shifting. A federal judge recently overturned President Biden's update that included gender identity and sex-based rights protections, which allowed trans-identifying boys to compete in girls' sports. This ruling makes it clear education cannot expand sex-based discrimination to encompass gender identity, meaning the participation of trans-identifying boys in girls' sports is a direct violation of Title IX, along with the recent bill that passed in the House that bans boys from girls' sports in federally funded schools. In just 5 days, President Trump, who has vowed to abolish these disruptive policies, include the transports policy, will be inaugurated. We're on the brink of significant change. A reckoning is coming for those council members who have aligned themselves with radical trans organizations in their attempt to silence vital discussions about the safety of young girls and importance of sex-based sports. It is not too late to take a stand. We should have for the students of New York. We must commit to fostering open and respectful dialogue that starts with voting no on Resolution 266.
Thank you. Andre De Castro. Okay, can you please?
Hello. Oh, there you go. All right. Hi, everybody. Good evening. How's everybody doing? I hope everyone's doing great. So I stand here today to voice my opposition to the rescinding of Resolution 248 and to urge this council to approach the topic of gender ideology in schools with compassion, responsibility, and most importantly, critical thinking. It is not bullying. It's a power dynamic between trans activists and parents. First and foremost, I want to acknowledge that every child deserves to feel safe, respected, and valued, even my 2 kids, a boy and a girl. I also believe that blindly endorsing gender ideology, particularly when it impacts young and vulnerable minds, is not the solution. Research shows that individuals who identify as transgender face alarming high suicide rates. Some studies estimate as high as 40%. And that's sad. And I feel for all of you. All right? They point to a much larger issue that transitioning alone does not resolve the internal struggles that individuals face. There's a doctor, her name is Dr. Lisa Littman. She studies something called rapid onset gender dysphoria. Also highlights a concerning trend. Her work suggests that social influence and external factors may play a significant role in some young people's lives. Children are still developing their identities and are particularly impressionable. As educators and community members, we have a responsibility to protect their well-being and not rush them into decisions that could have lifelong consequences. Nationally, I mean, there's statistics, but it's very scarce on trans kids younger than 12 years old. They're not really there. I don't understand why we invest so much time into gender expansive programs for kids. It doesn't make much sense to me. Furthermore, while the intention behind creating an exclusive environment is noble, we must confront a difficult reality. Bullying exists, even in the most inclusive settings. My son just got bullied the other day. Children can be unkind, and policies alone cannot erase that. Instead of placing children in environments where they feel perpetrated, we should try to do something different. But I just want to say that we should approach this, we should get together, talk about it, and come up with a better solution, because obviously the expansive program is not it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Our next speaker is going to be Laura Bell, followed by Karen Newworth. And then we're going to have Joe Vitale. Laura Bell.
Good evening. I've talked before. This is actually my 3rd time here. I do want to say I really appreciate that people are being a little more polite tonight, a little more professional. It is a public space. I've been actually shocked and alarmed by the last 3 events where people here in this board are disrespected, where I've been asked to suck male genitalia many times, which as a lesbian since 1990 is quite offensive. Last time I was asked to suck somebody's male genitalia, they were a schizophrenic with severe paranoia. in a mental health setting because I am a mental health professional. Just want to say that people up here should have more care and concern for both sides. I've been called a murderer, a killer. I've felt threatened coming in and out of this space, well, different locations. And it's nice that people are finally doing the Macarena instead of being rude and disrespectful, screaming, yelling, humming, and all these other things. Children are possibly present. Children are watching online. I feel that children's spaces should be protected and taken more seriously, and that single sex spaces, whether it's for trans people, females, males, you know, all Blacks, all Jamaicans, all Irish people should be able to choose to have single sex spaces, single race spaces, single age spaces. I don't know why that's funny, but anyway, it's not being rude or bullying to want to protect girls' opportunities in sports. As an athlete, that is very important to me. I'm about to get honored for making over 1,000 points in my high school career as a basketball player. Possibly would have been on the bench if men had been my competitors. I play on current co-ed teams now, not basketball, but other sports. I choose to, and that should be a choice. And these young girls, their decisions, their thoughts should be included, and parents who are uncomfortable being here should be invited to the table in safer environments.
Next speaker is Karen Newworth, followed by Joe Vital. Or Vitali.
Hello. So I'm here my third time as well, and I just want to express my concerns. I'm concerned about vulnerable kids and vulnerable teens. I'm concerned about safety and fairness in sports. I'm concerned about effeminate boys, masculine girls, and other quirky, sensitive, amazing individuals being needlessly told they are the opposite sex and giving toxic chemicals and surgeries to remove healthy body parts instead of just being allowed to be themselves. I'm concerned about the potential health effects of the chemicals and the surgeries involved with so-called gender affirming care. I'm concerned that we're pretending people can change sex when they can't, and promising kids they can become the opposite sex when all they can do is look like it. I'm concerned that we're telling young teens that if they're uncomfortable in their bodies or with their sex, that's because, well, they're really the opposite sex. We're ignoring biology and reality and needlessly making them hate their own bodies. It takes time and perspective to realize that a healthy body is worth celebrating, and we're not giving these kids that time or that perspective. I'm concerned about detransitioners who suffer from the medical interventions that are being pushed so hard on vulnerable young people. I'm concerned about avoiding another, and I won't use the name out of respect, but person from Rhode Island who died at the age of 24 from the complications of the surgery to create a fake penis. I'm concerned about avoiding another Peyton McNabb who suffered a brain injury as a result of being hit when a male on the opposing high school girls volleyball team spiked a ball harder than the girls do. Yes, I know people die from surgeries and sports injuries happen even with just girls, but why are we operating on healthy young people, and why are we putting males in female sports, making it more dangerous than it has to be? One more sentence. I'm concerned that instead of simply encouraging young people to be their fabulous, unique, creative, authentic selves in their healthy bodies, we're encouraging reality denial, body hatred, doing physical harm in the name of kindness.
We have Karen Newworth, Joe Vitali. Oh, is that Karen?
Hi, I'm here to support Maud Marin's resolution 248 and to deny any proposal for a resolution that will rescind it or delegitimize it. A lot of people are talking here, well, what a lot of people here on Zoom don't see is what we have to put up with every month that we come out here. And it's the foolishness of the other side who is currently dancing in a silly way And previously they turn our backs towards us and they hum or they fake cough. That's how disrespectful they are. And that's what the people on Zoom do not get to see. I am a former athlete. I'm speaking on behalf of biological female athletes who do not want to have biological males competing on their school sports teams. This hurts biological females in countless ways, including devastating their opportunities for scholarships or for sponsorships. I am a sponsored female athlete, and my opportunities would have been seriously limited had biological males been allowed to compete with us. A lot of people see the lunacy of not seeing the reality of biological sex, which is different from gender. And that's why homeschooling is on the uptick. A lot of people are homeschooling because of this such nonsense. And you see this intimidation that's going on? It's not going to phase a biological woman securing her own vulva power, which a biological male will never have. Biological males will never have any kind of vulva power. And let me tell you, the real beneficiaries is the pharma medical industry, because each person that they get to go on this medical merry-go-round represents upwards of $1 million. And if a biological male, one sentence, please. If a biological male does get his penis cut off, that is called 54125 in the ICD-10 code for amputation for the penis. Not a woman. 54125's vulva power.
Next, we have Joe Vital.
Announce the next person.
We have Joe Vital. Joe Vitale.
Joe Vital.
Okay, then we have Michael Gerulel.
Michael.
Geruella, followed by Elvira Spica.
Ovirus.
Are any of those people here? Okay.
Yeah.
Oops, may I ask? Oh, Vera, I'm sorry.
Ovira, thank you. When you start, when you
Good evening. I'm here to speak about a different subject. I wanted to raise awareness and concern about the way that middle school accelerated programs are being treated for high school admission. As you may know, the children in these programs have gotten in based on their grades and are working on an accelerated schedule. In addition to that, I have come to find out, and some of the other parents that I've been interacting with, that there are no real grading standards across different schools, which creates a separate set of issues. And so basically in our school, and I will not name the school because that's not the point of this discussion, but there is, the grades are based on mathematical averages, and every grade, every test, every homework, everything is a mathematical average. There are essentially no makeup exams. In other schools, makeup exams are a normal thing. In our school, I believe that is putting an incredible pressure on these kids already in the 6th grades. And I cannot imagine what was going to be happening in the 7th grade when these grades really matter and actually being counted for high school admission. On top of that, I wanted to raise awareness that this is an issue that I believe that the chancellor herself has raised in terms of the mental health and importance of the mental health for kids in schools. And I think I am very concerned that the next year for these kids is going to be a pressure cooker, and that the consequences we may not be able to even determine at this point. So I would like to ask you to, you know, try to find a solution for this particular situation. Thank you very much. Good evening.
Next, we have.
we do have Michael. Michael is here. Michael.
So it's Michael how do you pronounce it?
Sorry.
Jarvella. Okay, thank you.
That's the bad handwriting. All right. Hey, This is my first meeting, so I don't have any prepared remarks. But I do want y'all to know that I'm a D2 parent. I have 2 kids. I have a 19-year-old and a 17-year-old, and one of them is trans, and one of them is not. So I suppose if anybody has any questions for me, I'm apparently in the minority. I'm happy to answer them. But the one thing that I do want you to know is that as a D2 parent, I'm against 248. And the reason I'm against it is because I know from my child who's not trans that she's never had any fear. And I want to make sure that I'm clear that what this is about, because I've heard a lot of concerns and I think they're completely valid. But what we're talking about here is K-8, right? I just want to make sure, because I read it before I got here. I lost it on the way. But so K-8 competitive sports and making sure that females' concerns are answered. And I have a daughter who is not trans. And I get that. So I appreciate that. But what I also know is if 248 goes through and we're allowed to put a mark on a child as being different, it doesn't even matter, because where that starts, we don't know where it's going to go. But that mark is there, and it's like, you're different, you don't get to participate. So at the K-8 level, I heard your concerns when you get to be a professional or collegiate elite athlete. That's a different subject. We're talking about K-8, and I'm not at all worried about, as a parent, but also as somebody who played soccer, club league soccer, 6th, 7th, 8th grade, who had to scrimmage against the girls of the same age. I can tell you, there was certainly no advantage. We got our asses handed to us a lot of times. Sorry, I'm not supposed to swear. But, well, yeah, I okay, that might be true. So, but again, we're talking about K-8. So I'm just telling you, as a D2 parent, I'm against it, and I'm not worried about it, and I'm not sure what everybody's so scared about. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Nathaniel Brodsky Fay, followed by Rice Wan. And I'd like to note for the record that Allison Bowen is here. Do we have Nathaniel Brodsky Fay? Okay, how about looks like a Rice Wan? Jan? Thank you.
Who's this? After, right?
Calliope Panabanes next.
Yes, the following speakers can come have a seat here, so they'll be ready.
Okay, so we have Nathaniel, Rice, Calliope, and then we have, looks like Sharon or Shannon, and then Christian Clifford. Okay, you may proceed.
Hi, my name is Rice, and I have this friend. She's transgender, and I love like doing sports with her. And she has to go to a separate bathroom in the nurse's office to change because she doesn't feel comfortable changing with like other people of the same sex, which in my opinion is unfair because she has to go through all of this way and still end up being late to gym class doing so. And in regard to sports, I feel like saying that trans women are better than like assigned female at birth students is completely unfair because I have a brother and I will admit I do love beating him at almost every sport that he thinks he's very good at. I would like to see that like sports is more of like a team, and in an effort to be a team we should like just collaborate together because that's also the point of sports. Like everybody is working together. It's not like one person specifically shines out above all the others, and I think that's the beauty in it. It's this rule doesn't allow for those people to be a part of a team that they can build up on themselves and other people.
Thank you.
Ivy. I am a junior at Stuyvesant High School here in District 2. And I'm the co-president of my school's Gender and Sexuality Alliance, and I will add, it's not the main thing I'm talking about, but as a student at a specialized high school, I do think that that test needs a lot of reform, and it needs it greatly and very soon. So probably against my better judgment, I've come here in the middle of finals week, last week of the semester, to tell you all again about the same things I've been telling you all since this fall. I don't know how many different ways I can say them, how many new arguments I can think of, how many new numbers and statistics I can regale you with. I'm just here to plead my case and to plead for my rights and those of all the other trans students in New York. And it would be great if those of you keep abstaining on the vote could listen for once and get this over with so we don't all have to keep coming back. I am just a normal girl, and I'll say if me saying that makes you think about what's underneath my dress, you're not a normal adult. I'm really not all that different from any other of my 3,200 classmates. I spend all my time on homework, I stress about my grades, I go to choir rehearsals. I'm at school so I can learn and graduate and get out, right? I don't have any secret ulterior motives. I don't want to get 6th place in a volleyball tournament or spread the woke LGBTQ religion. I just want to get through school without constantly having my identity questioned and scrutinized. The guidelines of the DOE that support trans students do allow me to do that. And I don't think many of you understand how much it means to be recognized and protected by my school community, to be able to use the right bathroom and the right locker room. I cannot overstate how important that is. The safety and acceptance that the DOE guidelines provided is what gave me the courage to finally come out and be myself. There was nothing rapid onset about that, right? It was a thing that I had to work up to. And studies have shown that transphobic policies like 248 can keep trans kids like me in a really bad place with really bad mental health, and 50% of trans youth have considered suicide in the last year. And it's very clear that policies like 248 increase that rate. And I beg you to please consider the safety of all children, of all students, and repeal 248 so that we can all live and thrive. Thank you.
Next, we have Shannon. Shannon, followed by Christian Clifford, and then Shane Allens. So can we have Shannon, please, followed by Christian Clifford and Shane Allens. Okay, we have Christian Clifford, followed by Shane Allens, and then August Enzer.
Hi, my name is Buzz, and I'm speaking on behalf of Kristen, who had to leave. Where should I stand? Oh, wait, okay. So on behalf of Kristen Clifford, I am the mother, this is what she wrote this. I am the mother of two beautiful trans kids, one of whom is in District 2. The NYC DOE guidelines have helped keep my kids alive. Please keep these guidelines. Our children deserve love and support. All children deserve love and support. My kids have benefited from teachers' respect, social transitioning, and kindness. 248 is not about polite conversation. It is about dehumanizing trans children. It's not about sports. It's about keeping trans and non-binary folks out of public life. Especially to the, can you all be quiet? This is really disrespectful.
Excuse me, can we please keep it down? Thank you.
Especially to those who have abstained from voting, please protect my children. Please protect all of our children. Anti-trans legislation actively hurts our children. Please rescind number 248. And just on a personal level, I just want to clear up something. No one can make someone else transgender. It's something that comes from within. And there's no one transitioning someone else's kid. You have to really work hard to transition and get people to give you that kind of access. So let's just be supportive and accepting of everyone. Thank you.
So next we have Shane Allens, followed by August Enzer, and then Lynn Saltonstall.
Hello.
And if I've called your name, if you could move down, it would save a lot of time too. Thank you.
I often have found solace in the phrase, let us be judged by how we treat the least of us, Matthews 25:40. As your Monday night panel showed, and Maud is not here to tell this to, who I would, you are still fixated on surgery and genitalia. Gender surgery for minors is not a thing, yet your entire panel was based on it. Bringing in a self-hating trans person all the way from Kansas to buttress your views does not a balanced panel make. That you had to fly someone all the way over from Kansas for a local issue here in New York City shows the depths you are willing to go to validate your own bigotry.
Stop. You guys, please.
I'm trying to talk to
Please.
idiots.
I know. Please, can we all
I
sit down?
timed this for 2 minutes instead of, if you
No,
keep
you're
your
gonna get
hatred
your
to 2
time.
minutes, that'd be great.
You're gonna get your time. And this applies to everyone, but please, let's all show whoever is speaking the respect that they deserve. Thank you.
Let me finish. Bringing in a self-hated trans person from Kansas to buttress your views does not a balanced panel make. That you had to fly someone all the way from Kansas for a local school issue here in New York City shows the depths you're willing to go for your own bigotry. Let's first consider your premise at a basic level. You keep speaking of trans as an ideology in need of a counter argument. This is akin to saying that being black is an ideology, or being Amish or an Italian is an ideology. Month after month, we've seen parents, teachers, doctors, athletes, lawyers, students, and yes, activists all show up in support of trans kids. All voices you should have considered on the outset of all this. Look around you. Trans people are real. Trans kids are real. The people who love and support them are real, and they are showing up in large numbers to be counted. Where is your coalition, Maud? You're not even here. Where is your broad support? The same hateful 8 to 10 people keep showing up month after month. And the rest of you, this board should know the number of people on Maud's panel Monday night outnumbered the supporters in the audience. There was like 2 or 3 people in the audience. Way less than this, by the way. 2 to 3 people. Until this deliberative body chooses to believe what it can see with its own eyes, that trans people are real and deserving of our protection, you can keep flying in people from Kansas all you want. New Yorkers will continue to show up and be heard. Let kids be kids and let trans kids also be kids.
Thank you.
August,
Sir,
August, Lynn. Okay, that was August then Lynn. Here, Lynn is Chrissy, and then Nico. Please come up.
Thank you. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I was setting up the stage. I had a whole very theatrical. Everything I do is a presentation. Why, hello there. I know many of you. I know some of you. We talked at the Monday meeting. Monday night, CEC2 hosted an event billed as a discussion for parents about protecting our kids from a dangerous gender ideology with 3 anti-trans activist authors and influencers. On Monday, in one of our school auditoriums, 3 people completely denied the existence of transgender people, the people standing right before you. Your panelists being broadcast live to our family homes did not seem safe for children at all after they offered graphic detail of a near-death bullying of a queer kid using a urinal, gave false information about transitioning, and also just provided fake quotes that didn't really lean to anything, and when pressed on them, they didn't find the source. They couldn't find the source. One of the same authors on that panel actually just tweeted that day a picture of a 16-year-old trans girl with the caption, "Bro, that doesn't sound like bullying, does it?" Speaking of bullying, after being told that I don't exist for an hour, my friend Lucille, a trans person, stood up on 2 very existent legs to ask her plain question: where would the detransitioner have her use the bathroom when she's with her kids and needs to pee? Corey floundered, unable to respond, because how could she know what chromosomes Lucille had? How could she know how she started or how to deter? I asked Corey the same question. What makes a woman? Is it when you have eggs in your tube after menopause? Are you no longer a woman? So they weren't quite sure how to answer any of our questions. We outnumbered them. It was honestly a very boring presentation. We had much more fun afterwards. It's crazy that it's wild we still have to be here after inciting hate groups to come on to school campuses, people who are known to be dangerous. I think that this is wild because and there's a sign somewhere in here that says no student is put in the wrong body, and you are right. I have the perfect body. It was made to be here. It was made to be here so that I could tell you that we're not going anywhere. There's nothing you can do about it.
Next we have, oh, excuse me. Oh, who are you? Just so we know for the list.
Lynn Saltonstall.
Okay.
Thank you. I'm a District 2 parent. And I only need 30 seconds because to me this is pretty simple. To me, trans and gender expansive kids obviously deserve
Hold on.
our love and
Lynn,
support.
Lynn, just pause for 1 second. I apologize. Okay. Can we all yeah, oh, that's fine. No, I understand. It's fine. I'm not trying to reprimand it. Let's just take a deep breath. We take a deep breath. Lynn, you can start over. Please start the time over for her. Okay? Thank you. And please,
Thanks.
Please, everyone has the right to speak. Please.
I'm a D2 parent. I think I need about 10 to 12 seconds to say what I have to say. To me, it's simple. Trans and gender expansive kids deserve our love and support. Deserve to be themselves and deserve to be kids, recognized and protected. We as a community overwhelmingly want schools where all our students can be their authentic selves. Schools where their humanity is affirmed. That is a basic requirement for creating a successful learning environment. Let kids focus on being students. No one would devote this much of their free time to serving on this council if they didn't care most fundamentally about helping schools be their best schools and serving students to be their best selves as students. And 248 is threatening that. So I ask you please vote to rescind. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you for your time.
Next speaker, we have Chrissy Rose. Chrissy Rose, followed by Nico Kiefer, and then Nadia Swanson, and then Ro Pena.
I'm Chrissy Rose. I'm a full contact karate black belt and semi knockdown champion. I'm what y'all would call a biological female athlete, and you do not speak for me. Speak for yourself. I have already spoken from my extensive personal experience training and competing with people of all genders to tell you that trans women do not have an inherent advantage in sport. The latest scientific studies coming out actually show trans women to be at an athletic disadvantage in metrics like jump height and VO2 max. But the argument is the same, whether it's here in a school board meeting or in Congress. Keep trans girls out of sports to protect cis girls. Sometimes they even say real girls. The thing is, they're not defending real girls. They're defending the idea that there is such a thing as a real girl. Gender, like race, is a concept we made up. And in that sense, it's both real and not real. It's real in that people experience actual social impacts based on it. It's not real in the sense that biology is not at the root of these categories. Our interpretations as humans are. But why should you care about trans and intersex folks if you're not one? Aside from the fact that that is a basic requirement for being a decent human being. Because unless you're a cisgender, heterosexual, white man, you're being oppressed by the same system. Trans people prove that a strict gender binary is nonsense. And if gender isn't real in the way conservatives say, if there are no inherent differences between men and women, then the logic for discrimination against women, all women, I'm talking to you, cisgender women, falls apart. There's no more women are so emotional. Women aren't suited for combat roles. We need a man as president of the United States. When you defend trans people's right to exist, you're defending your own right to exist without your body being used as an excuse to deny you rights. I want to leave you with some words from author Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. Culture does not make people. People make culture. So if it is in fact true that the full humanity of women is not our culture, then we must make it our culture. We make the categories and we can make them better. Thank you.
Next speaker, Nico Kiefer, followed by Nadia Swanson, and then Ro Pena.
Hi, everyone. My name is Nico. I am a teacher in the New York City public school system. I've been teaching art for many, many years. And for the last few years, I've been teaching martial arts. I'm here to relate my experience, the experience of every teacher and every parent, which is that when we affirm the identity of children as they present it to us, everyone is better. The classroom is better, it's safer, people learn more, and the students are excited. With the time that I have left, I want to tell you about one student who I'm going to call M. When M was being forced to be a boy, M was clearly in pain. She was disruptive, she was combative, she couldn't focus, and she was pulling down the rest of her class. And when M, who is 7, bravely, he showed all of us who she really is. Who she really is. She became the best student in the class, and she uplifted the other students with her. By the way, this is in what some would consider a combat sport. I teach martial arts. This child showed the other students how much stronger all of them could be by saying, "This is who I am."
Nadia.
Nadia?
Do we have Nadia Swanson? Okay, Ro.
After Rowe, we have two more. You want to say their names?
Ms. Daniels, and we have Megan Madison.
Okay, great. Thank you. I want to start off by thanking Augie, Elena, Katie, and so many others who have helped us stay nourished during these meetings. Snacks are a must. Fun fact, a snack is oftentimes the answer to most grumpy middle schoolers. That's true. Look it up. Our middle schoolers at TFS are big fans of snacks. Specifically, C is a big fan of Doritos, especially the spicy ones. E loves apple flavored rice cakes and string cheese, but not together, although she's not opposed to trying. H likes combining lemonade and iced tea and calls it the golfer instead because, of course. And while we're on the topic of lemonade, L thinks Simply Lemonade is simply the best. Last week, S tried the new pretzel rods for the first time and was a big fan. We got to discussing what makes a pretzel a pretzel. Is a pretzel only a pretzel when it's in the dough form? Is it a pretzel if it's more like a flat chip? What if it's gluten-free? What about all the pretzel rods? And then S and I looked at each other for a beat and laughed because it doesn't matter. A pretzel is a pretzel. Sure, people might have their loud and very wrong opinions, but it's silly and honestly against your better interest to not love a pretzel. Pretzels have nourished communities for as long as you and I can remember. They have been there in a pinch. You only need to enjoy the fact that they exist in all of their pretzel forms. Heck, go ahead and use pretzel as your pronouns, as one of our very cool kids does. Stop contemplating the pretzel, and while you're at it, protect trans kids. Thank you.
And after our next speaker, we have Megan Madison will be our last speaker. So Megan, if you could kind of move down here, thanks.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening, council. My name is Elena Daniels, and I am a proud trans woman and progressive educator. I've been showing up at these council meetings for the last year, initially to support my friend, Dr. Megan Madison, and her books that tell true stories about race and gender. And since then, to ask this council to rescind 248. When we first started, there were only like 6 of us. Now we have this fabulous, amazing community. And while we still have not managed to rescind 248, in the last year, we have not managed to rescind 248, but we have built this fabulous community. We've also learned a lot about how CEC2 runs. We've learned that a significant chunk of the board does not show up most of the time. We've learned that a significant chunk of the board only cares about getting gifted kids into specialized high schools through an unfair and biased test. We've learned that at the best schools in the best district, in the richest district in the entire country and possibly the world, there are cockroaches that run out during school board meetings. There is never an AV equipment that works. That the DOE can't tell the members of the board whether or not they're fixing, schools that are falling down, no matter how many times you ask them. Thank you for all that work. We appreciate it. We've learned that this council can't agree on much, unless it's attacking certain kinds of kids, other than the Omni cards. So again, appreciate that. I'm a trans woman, so I'm systemically not allowed to be a parent, which means that I can't run for this council. Only parents allowed to run, which stops the people who are the closest to schools, kids, teachers, from actually getting to share their voice and be up here. This council's even voted to not allow the 2 students on it to have a vote. All this has inspired me to seek one of the 2 seats that I could be appointed to on this council. However, to get anything done, we need 7 people here together, 7 of us working together, 7 of us working to make New York City schools places where kids feel safe, seen, and loved. And we need a bunch of D-District 2 parents from this community to come and join and run too. Thank you all. When trans kids are under attack, what do we do? When trans kids are under attack, what do we do? Thank you all.
Megan Madison.
Okay. So, okay, if everyone can have a.
We have Megan, excuse me,
Oh,
please.
Megan?
Okay. Megan, you're the last speaker, so.
Last speaker? All right. Y'all, we're going to close out tonight with a song. Our community member, Amy, rewrote the lyrics to This Little Light of Mine, and I'm going to teach you all to sing it tonight. It goes like this. This little heart of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little heart of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little heart of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Is it possible, Len, to stop recording, restart the time? Because there's a lot of crosstalk, which you all have been really mean about us, like not talking over, and you're not stopping them. Instead, you're recording,
We're gonna take a, okay.
I'm just confused.
Okay.
But perhaps
We pause the time.
should sit down.
Okay.
Can everyone sit down? So, yeah, but.
Okay.
But each other, right? Everybody keeps speaking
Okay.
up. When someone speaks, there's others. So your timer is paused. So it would be kind to just be able to see and have everyone seated. I would really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Thank you.
I think it would go a long way if everyone just please sit down also.
You know, I'm not into controlling what people are doing their bodies. But before we start again, I just need to make it really clear. When our group called out, when we even hummed together, you all threatened to call the police on us and have us removed. Instead, when these people who are members of literal hate groups shout over my testimony, you pulled up your cell phone and began to record them. You did not interrupt. You did not threaten them with the police. That is a clear double standard, and it is unfair, and I need it noted before I begin to speak again. All right, shall we try again? All right. You all are welcome to stand or sit or dance the Macarena or honestly do whatever you want with your bodies because they're your bodies. Okay. The next verse goes, trans kids being kids, we're gonna let them shine. Got it? Trans kids being kids, we're gonna let them shine. Trans kids being kids, we're gonna let them shine. Trans kids being kids, we're gonna let them shine, let them shine, let them shine, let them shine. Right here in District 2, won't you let them shine? Right here in District 2, won't you let them shine? Right here in District 2, won't you let them shine? Let them shine, let them
shine, let 'em shine. This little heart of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Thank you.
That concludes our first public speaking session.
Thank you. Okay, okay. That concludes the first public speaker session. Thank you for all who spoke. We appreciate it. Okay. Well, now we'll go to my report. Happy New Year to everybody. I hope everybody had a happy and healthy holiday season. I will again try to keep this brief. And if I see some people are leaving, if you can exit quietly so we can get through this, thank you. We have the school spotlight tomorrow at Lab Middle. We're very much looking forward to it. Next Friday will be our second Wit and Wisdom family engagement session. I'll let Superintendent McGuire discuss the particulars and what we'll be focusing on, but it's Friday, 9 a.m. Details on how to join the Zoom are on our website. A few dates to keep in mind. Kindergarten applications are now open and the deadline is January 24th. This includes general kindergarten programs as well as kindergarten G&T programs. Offers are to be released on or about April 2nd. I believe 3K and pre-K applications open today, January 15th, and they close at the end of February 28th. Offers released on or about May 20th. G&T applications for grades 1 through 4 will open in late April. I don't think they have specific dates yet, but they will, we'll keep you posted on that. Students who have an interest in filmmaking can submit short films to the 7th annual New York City Public Schools Film Festival. You can apply through March 7th. For more information, visit nyc.gov NYC PS Film Festival. This is open to all DOE middle and high school students. To celebrate our teachers, you can nominate outstanding teachers for Big Apple Awards, celebrating teachers who go above and beyond for their students. Nominations can be made until January 21st, so a few more days. schools.nyc.gov/BAA, Big Apple Awards. Applications for the CEC elections have opened. This includes elections for the 32 CECs, as well as the 4 citywide education councils, CCHS, which governs high school students, CCD75, CCELL, which are for English language learners, CCSE, which is for special education students. If you have been, if you are a parent or guardian of a student who has been designated as such or has been in the past. You can find more information on our homepage, and to sign up and vote, you'll need a NICSA account. If you don't have one, if you don't know what that is, please contact your parent coordinator at your school, and they'll be happy to help you. Participating in these elections as a candidate or voter is your opportunity to help shape the future of your school community, so be sure to get involved and make your voice heard. To be eligible for a D2 seat, you need to be a parent or a guardian of a current D2 student. The application period ends on February 16th. Voting will start in mid-April through May 13th. There will be candidate forms for each district. You will see announcements on that. I don't believe that's scheduled yet. This is for a 2-year term commencing on July 1st, 2025. There was a FACE, that's a family engagement group, a FACE engagement session on January 13th. My understanding is there will be another one soon. Sorry? Okay, they'll handle it. Our FACE rep, do you know what, is there another family engagement session for the, what day is that? Okay. Okay. Thank you. So, thank you for going back there. So as soon as we hear about it, we will let you know. One point I just want to say, and you can take it for what it's worth. If somebody isn't here tonight and they are excused, there is a reason why. I don't disclose that to the public. It's usually personal information. People can be excused for various reasons. It could be their own health, their child's health. It could be relating to a work emergency. So we do that, and there is an excusable process for a reason. But again, I I don't think it's appropriate for me to disclose why a person may or may not be here. That being said, I'm going to thank you all for coming, and we still have some more to go, but we're going to move now to our superintendent, Kelly McGuire. Thank you, Kelly. Hopefully I didn't take too much of your speech like I did last month.
Okay, can you hear me okay? Yep, all right. Thank you very much, Council, for having me this evening. I did just want to start, since most of our guests are here in relationship to Resolution 248, a couple of things that I think are important to note, and some people who have reached out to me in regard to some specifics related to that resolution. Number one, we do fully support the right of students to participate in both physical education and sports that are consistent with their gender identity. And that is a question that we sure. That we as a New York City public school system support the right of students to participate in both physical education and sports that are consistent with their gender identity, and we have never wavered in that policy. I also want to add, there are a couple of things that people ask. People ask me why we permitted certain events from happening. I will say that there are events that are sponsored by the Community Education Council. We believe in the importance of hearing voices. The legal offices of the New York City Department of Education will not exclude folks from participating in or holding events based on what it is that their panelists or guests might say. So that is upheld by our chancellor's regulations and our Department of Education legal system. And then finally, I do just want to say that as both a teacher and a principal and now a superintendent, and I do believe very strongly across our District 2 schools, that we meet our students where they are at, that we meet our students and our families. We ask ourselves the question, how is it that we are ensuring that the everyday student experience for our students is a place where our schools is a place where they are loved and supported, no matter how it is that they show up, and that is our mission, and will continue to be forever. In relation to a couple of other things, I did just want to provide a couple of other notes in regard to the work that we are doing here in our schools. We have a lot of really strong and positive things to share in regard to both climate and academics in our district. At this time, we were looking at some data back in the 2021-2022 school year, and we're also then looking at those data in relationship to currently in 2025. In 2021 and 2022, at the mid-year point, we had recorded 247 suspensions across the district. And in 2025, to this point, we have recorded 120. That's a significant reduction. We have reduced the number of suspensions across all subgroups of students, racial, students with disabilities, and English language learners. And so we're proud of that work and proud of the experience that students are having in our district. We just completed a round of school implementation walkthroughs, both in literacy and in mathematics. Essentially what we did through a school implementation walkthrough is that we went through every single school in our district. We deployed our district team members. We asked them to visit 2 classes per grade level in every single school. We asked them to look for specific indicators of the implementation of both the Wit and Wisdom curriculum and illustrative mathematics curriculum. There were some really, really positive things. We saw that there was strong use of curriculum across all of our schools. They were really strong in our early literacy and foundational literacy in grades K through 2. And that also we saw some strengths in instructional routines. We are still growing in ways that we are building our assessment structures and also in the way that we are engaging in explicit teaching. And we're going to talk more about that when we meet together on Friday, January 24th, for our second family engagement session on our NYC Reads initiative and the implementation of Wit and Wisdom. During that engagement session on the 24th, we are going to be blessed, very, very blessed by both some teachers and principals from a few of our District 2 schools. We have PS 11 who is going to be showing up, PS 150, and then also the Spruce Street School. Representatives from those schools will be sharing their work with us on around both assessment, explicit instruction, and of course the curriculum. I also want to share a little bit in regard to our work with NYC Reads. Over the past month, we've engaged every single one of our middle school math teachers in a workshop series around multi-tiered systems of support in mathematics. Through multi-tiered systems of support, we are engaging our students in rigorous learning, accelerating students, and also making sure that we are building in scaffolds. So we're very happy with that introduction that was provided by one of our District 2 team members, Rachel Benoffs, who is really nationally regarded in the work that she has done around MTSS. We are very lucky to have such strong team members working with us here in District 2. As President, here's where the overlap begins. As President Slutkin mentioned, tomorrow we have a school spotlight visit for the month of January that's going to be taking place at Lab Middle School. We're excited to see the work that Lab Middle School has done both in science, in mathematics, and also they have been building a NEST program across their school for several years, and that is very, very highly sought after amongst families in every part of the city. A few other updates as we look forward to the end of January, the beginning of February, we are going to be opening our 3 new pre-K programs at the Peckslip School. Those are going to be a part of our District 2 pre-K center. Again, these are 3 new special classes that are focused on pre-K students with disabilities. And those classes are going to have either 8 students or 6 students. Those classrooms are going to be supported by teachers and paraprofessionals. And so we're really excited about that new development in our district. I also want to mention that CEC elections and applications have now opened. They're going to remain open through February 16th. We have identified a date for the candidate forum. I guess I'm breaking news here. April 9th is the date on which our District 2 President's Council presidents will be holding the D2 candidate forum. That's going to be again on April 9th. We just decided on that date. After all of the folks who are applying to run for CEC2 get the opportunity to share their platform on April 9th, a couple weeks later, then voting opens. That's going to open on April 25th and run through May 13th. Again, parents are going to vote and they vote through their NICSA account. Parents and guardians, thank you very much. Parents and guardians vote and they vote through their NICSA account. And then we expect that the election results will be announced in June. And then the new members will take office on July 1st. Just a couple of dates coming up ahead. January 20th, schools are closed for Martin Luther King Day. January 21st to 24th is our Regents Week. And then the 28th is the start of the spring semester. Lunar New Year is on January 29th, and our schools are closed for that as well. And then schools are closed February 17th through the 21st for our winter recess. Thanks for the opportunity to share this evening, and I'm happy to take any questions you might have.
Just as a follow-up, to be clear, at Peckslip, when are they opening up the classes? Is that for the fall?
We are looking for a end of January, perhaps beginning of February. I might extend that period of beginning of February through the first couple weeks of February, but we're doing hiring right now for that, interviewing candidates, and so we're excited about that expansion.
Are there any questions from the members of the council? So, Councilmember Patel.
Kelly, could you talk a little bit about what individual schools are doing to support parents in setting up their accounts in order to vote in the CEC elections?
Yes. So the question was around how is it that we're helping parents set up their NICSA account if they do not currently have them set up? So we are really trying to blast out in multiple ways through text message, through email, holding forums. One of the big changes that we have made recently is that I am meeting with all of our parent coordinators along with our family support coordinator, Tina Yacker. We are blasting out information so that if families do not have an NICSA account, we're giving them multiple pathways around how to set up their NICSA account, and also letting them know that this is the method by which they can apply to CEC if they're choosing to do so. So I have been in this position now for 4 years. I think that the campaign that we have around getting families their NICSA account is it's very, very strong. And a lot of information is coming out of our schools through parent coordinators. Parent coordinators are the best. They know everything, and they're a one-stop shop for lots of questions that people have in schools.
Councilmember Reed.
So I have a question and I think this is kind of on a lot of people's minds with the new regime change coming up next week. And I know that there's official DOE protocol for how to handle requests from federal agencies, and I'm speaking specifically about ICE, and about how our school principals, teachers are supposed to keep ICE agents outside the school. If an ICE agent comes to the school, they are supposed to not cooperate, first call DOE legal, and seek guidance and ask to see the relevant documentation, but basically that they're supposed to keep them at bay until they can confer with DOE central legal. And of course this means that school staff on the ground who might be the first point of contact with possibly with ICE agents need to be trained to not bend to threats from, because I mean they have been known to say that they can arrest people for interfering with a federal investigation if they don't give access to students or allow access to a school building. So, and we know they've been known to try to bully people into compliance. So I just want to know what training have school, say, principals and other school-based staff had in how to deal with that threat and how to respond to that threat. Because I mean, if it's great that the chancellor, it's great that other DOE senior people are giving that message, but I'm just concerned that it won't be really, it's not effective unless the individual people in the schools really know about it and are prepared for it. So I'm just curious what kind of specific information, what kind of training have they received?
Before you answer that, I want to, if I may, I want to piggyback off your question because his answer will probably be comprehensive. To your knowledge, has the DOE spoken to the various unions, UFT, whoever is the school safety agents, to ensure that they're protected? Because to Councilmember Healy's point, you don't want a safety agent arrested by ICE or whomever because they're protecting our students. And that should be, a concern that we have, is that we're putting safety agents, teachers in bad, I think this relates to what Councilmember Healy is saying. We're putting them in very tenuous situations. We don't, I'm not disagreeing with the DOE's policy. What I'm concerned with is, protecting our people, or protecting the DOE's people.
So, Councilmember Healy, you did lay out the policy and practice very clearly. To this point around training, and specifically the question of legal protection. Going back now a couple of months, we have been engaged in a series of trainings with our legal offices. Both the superintendent, we were trained, deputy superintendents, and that then began trickling down to various folks within our organizations. we started having memos and calls with our principals pretty soon after we were trained, because we want to make sure that everyone, not just principals, are getting the right and clear message. Additionally, then the city has begun offering central trainings for folks of all different titles: principals, teachers, school safety agents, school aides, all of the different people that might meet a person of authority or anybody when they come into the school building. We are also went the extra step this year to make sure that our after school programs were really well trained in all of these policies as well. As a part of all of those central policies, our staff, and I don't just mean our district team or our principals, our staff have been triple assured that they are protected under the guidelines of New York City law, of the policies and chancellor's regulations that impact practice in our schools. And so that message has been sent out again and again and again. We are doubling down, tripling down, quadrupling down on this. Next week, we are bringing all of our school leaders into a meeting with our senior council so that they can ask questions directly, as well as questions about other topics around legal issues that might be top of mind for them. And so we're very much trying to do a very comprehensive job of both assuring people that they are protected, making sure people are aware of the policy, and that everybody who needs to know the policy is aware.
Any other questions? Sorry. So, okay. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate you coming down. Oh, you're coming down tonight.
It's January, trying to.
So we want to thank you for coming. We also would like to acknowledge Deputy Superintendent Shannon. Thank you for coming as well. It's always a pleasure to see the two of you, and say hello to Deputy Superintendent Higgins as well. Okay. Moving along, the report of committees. We'll start off with the bylaws committee.
So there's been we are proposing a change in the bylaws to add the following language to our bylaws. And I'll quote, "The chair shall have the authority to suspend the second public speaker session, and then the chair shall have the discretion to prioritize the order of speakers during any public speaker session." Now, the impetus for this is, and I want to just compliment, I want to actually compliment everyone in the room, for the most part, because this probably was the most orderly meeting we've had in quite some time. I know it may not seem like that, but it has been. But I can tell you that for the last number of months, there have been a number of meetings where things have kind of gotten a little heated and a little bit out of hand, and speakers have refused to relinquish. We've had situations where speakers refused to relinquish the microphone, gone over their time, and the speaking sessions run rather lengthy. And this is just not to curtail speech in any way. We're still advocating certainly the having two public speaking sessions, but in those situations where we do have a breakdown of where tensions tend to rise, we want to give the chair the discretion to suspend the second public speaking session. And I would say that my experience has been, certainly over the last 5-6 years, that people who speak in the first public speaking session also speak during the second public speaking session. Sometimes the comments vary a little, but it's usually the very similar speakers that speak during both sessions. So we do get to hear from you. So this is not, I don't want this to be interpreted as an attempt to curtail anyone's right to be heard or to speak, but it is just to provide a safety valve for those situations when things get out of hand. And I don't anticipate it would be necessary, but it's, again, we want to have the discretion there in the bylaws.
And I'm just going to add one thing. From my perspective, I'm going to take a little bit of a different take on it. It's not about, it's 7:30, I want to get out of here. let's curtail the second, not have the second speaker session. It's not about that. And I say this as I think Councilmember Healy and I are probably the only two people who have been here every single meeting. I think I've actually been here for every minute of every single meeting. I don't even think I've excused myself since the beginning of the term, you know, a year and a half ago. So this is not about it. This is about, for me at least, it's, you know, we have to be out of here out by 10 o'clock. That's not us. That's not me. That's the permits. You know, if anybody's been here that late, you will see the safety agents basically throwing us out. So we have to be out by 10. I need a few minutes to clean up all the IT and all that stuff. And it's, you know, 9:30 and we haven't had a second public speaker session. You know, we have to get through it and we have votes to take and some business to do. So for me, it's more of just, you know, flowing the time flowing issue. This is not for me about, you know, trying to get people not to be able to speak. I've listened to everybody from the beginning. So anyway, do you want to talk about the procedure? That is next month.
So in order to do bylaws changes, they have to be presented at one official meeting and then voted on at the following meeting. And then if enacted, the changes would be effective the next meeting after that. So it's basically a 3-month process or 3-meeting process to effect the bylaws change. So, and this provides the members of the community to have an opportunity also if you guys wanted to comment during the next public speaking session or next month's public speaking session about the proposed changes. There are a lot of reasons. I also agree with Craig. It's not, you know, we're not trying to get out of here early, but there are situations where we're really just going to run out of time. We're going to certainly have 2 public speaking sessions tonight. It's not an issue. Everyone has been pretty orderly tonight. But, you know, you run into a situation, I've seen it before, you could have a lot of speakers for the first public speaking session. It's just not going to work. So again, it's just about giving discretion. It's not about, and we would also, just one last thing I think is important, the decision to potentially suspend the second public speaking session would of course be open to discussion and debate amongst the council, not necessarily voted on, but it would be something that could be discussed beforehand. So don't anticipate that the chair, whoever he or she may be, would just make that decision without certainly running it by the rest of the council. So the way it works
We're
is
just introducing it right now. We're not discussing it.
Yes, and we would vote on it next meeting.
A lot to say about it.
Yeah, the discussion.
Yeah, it sounds like you guys are kind of discussing the
Yeah, you could have the
resolutions, so-
discussion now. We can also discuss it next time before we actually vote. But it is presented now, and if you wish, you could certainly say it once, sure.
I mean, I am adamantly opposed to this revision. I think it's ironic if you had just changed your abstain vote to a no vote or a yes vote in the direction of repealing this resolution. It seems to me that this revision wouldn't even be necessary. And also our sole purpose as a CEC, other than I think some zoning and capital improvements, is community engagement. So this revision is proposing to cut our only job by 50%. So I will very much oppose this resolution when we vote on it next.
I want to say that under the bylaws, we already have, we do actually have discretion to suspend the second public speaking session, but it's by a majority vote of the council. And it doesn't take us that long for us to have a discussion and vote. And so, I mean, I don't see the need for any change. And we actually did have a bylaw amendment on the agenda, I believe last December 2023, and we actually voted down this very amendment. And so, I mean, I think it's clear to everyone what this amendment is. You know, people are coming out in droves because they're upset about Resolution 248 that this council passed. And, you know, this is basically a this is a bylaw amendment saying, well, I guess too many trans people are speaking, so we won't have a second session. I mean, let's just call it what it is. I mean, we haven't said this about anything else. We have had other hot button issues where we have talked about. I know I've heard this council talk about vaccination mandates or whatnot, and we haven't limited the speaking. So this is just like unacceptable. And I mean, we'll talk about this more next month, and I guess we'll take a vote next month. But I mean, this is just like silly. Like, we want to hear from the people. That is what we are here for. We are a community education council. We are not the education council of the 12 people up here on this stage. We are a community. And so we hear from the community. And if we're going to make a decision for some reason, we just don't have time, we have to get out by 10, we can vote on that as a council. That's what we do. Thanks.
Well, we'll discuss it. Discuss it more next month. Are there any other committees that wish to, committee chairs that wish to present or discuss their committee? It's not, okay. Discussion of resolutions. Sorry, let me get my glasses on. I will read this wrong. Resolution 266, resolution to affirm CEC2 support of NYCPS's guidelines to support transgender and gender expansive students and rescind resolution 248. Is there anybody who would like to start the discuss, or would like to comment or discuss?
Well, I mean, I said most of what I want.
I recognize Councilmember.
Thank you. Thank you for recognizing me. I appreciate that. I love to be recognized. Let's see. So I said most of what I wanted to say in the, earlier. And so I won't add that much more. But, I want to say people, again, we're a community education council. We listen to the community. We listen to parents. We listen to students. We listen to community members. And we make decisions based on that. And we've heard loud and clear from the community over and over again that they don't want this resolution. They don't want resolution 248. They want it rescinded. And I think we have an obligation to listen to those voices and to do the will of the people and the community. And I just want to say, I mean, students need to be loved and respected for who they are. Not for who we want them to be, not for our ideas, but for who they are. We have heard that so eloquently from teachers here tonight, from parents, from our students, and we've heard it from our District 2 superintendent. And I think we need to respect that. And so that is why we put forth this resolution to rescind resolution 248. I hope that my fellow council members will vote yes. It will finally listen to the community that they profess to serve. Thank you.
Councilmember Love. Right, passing the mic.
Thank you. I haven't even said anything yet. You may like it. I'm sure you'll like it. As usual, Gavin's being a little misleading. I think everyone's kind of missing the point of all this. We've been listening to people speak on both sides of this issue, obviously more on one than the other, but I think they're all kind of missing the point, and they're speaking about why something should or should not happen. But if the point is the resolution itself, think back with me. It's been months. We've been doing this almost a year. If we recall, we had the mayor once, then Chancellor Banks once at PEP, once directly here sitting next to us, saying that we're all discussing and racist and all those other things, and said the resolution was going nowhere. We have so much evidence that this is not about this resolution and the harm it supposedly is going to cause. It hasn't been enacted in any possible way. The DOE seems to be very clearly against it. Superintendent McGuire, for the last 4 or 5 months, before he even starts his report, has to do a 5-minute caveat to talk about all of the wonderful things that the DOE does and how they go above and beyond to make sure that every kid, especially trans kids, are listened to and protected. And I think 2 months ago, he even said he wanted to, I guess several months ago, I told him that he was partially the cause of the madness we're seeing. I still believe that, and he disagreed. But the evidence is a couple months ago where he said that he was glad that they're all here, and I think one of the parents spoke about it, saying that we're here for District 2 K-8 kids, and virtually none of the people speaking fell into that category, but he was excited that they were speaking, which is fine. But if that is the case, and that's on either side, I'm assuming that most of the people here don't have D2 kids either. So I'm not, calling you out specifically, but the point is we're not concerned about the kids. So you're all lying. So all kids matter, just like the Black Lives Matter. You say we care about all kids, but I don't see any all kids on your sign. All I see is trans kids. I don't hear you talking about any other kids, except for when you make weird examples between black kids and trans kids. But that was interesting. But I was odd, right? But whatever. But I mean, you had a right to say it. That's cool, but it doesn't make sense. And everything you do is proving that you're not trying to do what's best for the kids in this district. And that's the problem, especially if you don't have kids here. So you keep talking about a community. I think that many of the people are coming here because Elena's right. They found a community here. There's a bunch of people who had whatever problems in their lives, and they found a group of people who agreed with them, and now it becomes a town. That's why there's snacks. That's why they had pizza last week. I mean, kindly, they offered me a slice last month. Thanks. But that's why you have pizza, and that's why Gavin's so excited, because obviously he doesn't get any encouragement anywhere else. But you all bring him flowers, right? And you all say he's great, and that he hasn't heard that probably since he was a child. So he's excited about that. But it's not helping the kids, right? None of this is about education at all. This is a bunch of, narcissistic, emotional, feel-good nonsense. That means, what this really is? I was going to say it's compelled speech, but it's not even speech. It's like compelled thought. What you're really trying to do, because the DOE and whatever you think about McGuire, they made it clear that this resolution is already dead. So there'd be no reason to come every month. But you come because the real reason is to make Maud, because you use her name, myself, and others change their minds, right? There is no resolution except for in the heads of the people who voted for it. So you're here to make me think a certain way. Good luck with that. And by the way, if that's really your goal, do you think coming down here saying I'm literally killing kids is going to endear me to your cause? I mean, it's insane. So the whole point is complete nonsense. And a couple months ago, the last thing, I talked about bullying, and you all erroneously thought I said you were bullying me. You're not bullying me, you're wasting my time, but you're not bullying me. Who you're bullying, Superintendent McGuire, who's being bullied are the parents and the kids that you supposedly care for, who are afraid to come to these meetings because they don't want to deal with the nonsense. But you won't speak on their behalf. You just sit here and cheer for people who talk nonsense. I'm glad you're here. That's why I say you're part of the problem. You look confused all you want. So you can keep coming here every month if you want, and keep asking us to rescind something that doesn't have any power and doesn't exist. And the DOE and Superintendent McGuire and then Chancellor Bank and the mayor and DOE all said it's going nowhere. But you keep coming here because it makes you feel good, because you meet friends down here and you can dance and do the Macarena. Keep coming, but it's not helping the kids. So at some point, the DOE needs to do something about what matters to the kids in D2. And oh, by the way, why don't you, when you keep talking about the community, look at this community. Most people in the city, most people in District 2, most people don't agree with you. It's just because you bring people in the D2 parents. More than 2 or 3. Okay. All of this stuff. All of D2 kids. You. So you say you are another bitch, but you probably aren't even telling the truth.
Thank you. Okay. Let's get through this. Okay, that's fine. Give me a second. Just give me a second. Okay. Let's take a deep breath. Okay, Charles, let's take a deep breath. Okay. Everybody. Okay, back to your corners, everybody, please, please. Please, can we, okay, I'm gonna okay, I'm gonna recognize, Donald, did you, where's Gavin? Okay, 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 so okay, okay. Thank you. Okay, okay, okay. We're gonna let, Councilmember Healy go. Charles, let him speak, he let you speak, Gavin let you speak, let's let Gavin speak, okay? Well, Councilmember Healy let you speak. I know, but he's allowed to speak again. I'm recognizing Councilmember Healy.
I don't know, maybe people like me because I'm nice. But um but 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 listen to the contempt for the community. Listen to the contempt in those remarks. Like this is a community education council member literally screaming at the members of the public. And he's continuing. And I mean, none of us know what all 8 million people of New York City want. Like Charles Love hasn't polled them. I haven't polled them, but we know what we're hearing from the community. We know what we hear month after month at these meetings. We know that people want to rescind Resolution 248. And just one. And I'll continue when okay, so I just want to leave everyone with this. I want to leave FACE with this. I want to leave the community with this. I want to leave people at home with this, is that you heard a man yelling at you tonight, yelling at the community. And the only reason that man who's yelling at the community is on this council is because he was endorsed by a group called Place NYC. No one knows him. No one knew him before. He had no presence in the community, but a group called Place NYC endorsed him. And this is what they bring into our educational spaces. This is what they bring into our schools. And you know what? Parents and families deserve much better than having a group like Place NYC endorse someone who is going to come in here and yell at the community and scream at the community and tell him that he doesn't care about the community. And that's what you get from a group like Place NYC. That is what they have given to our councils. That is what they have given to our students. And it's a shame. And it's an absolute shame. Okay, I'll say one more thing. And everyone on this end of the table was endorsed by Place NYC. That's all.
Okay. 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 Is there anybody who hasn't spoken that would like to speak? Whether it's, I'm asking, okay. Okay. Thank you. We're going to go to the next resolution then. Resolution 267. Resolution urging New York City public schools to promote inclusion of and, correct bias against, I should have my reading glasses on, against English language learners in the administration of the CHSAT and admissions to specialized schools. Does anybody wish to speak on this resolution? Recognize Councilmember Healy. Final.
Okay, so actually what I'd like to do is I would like to motion to table this resolution 267 to vote on next month. And the reason I want to do that is Dr. Darling Mirame. So we received, the council members received an email today from Dr. Darling Mirame, who is a parent in District 3, and he's also a member of the panel for educational policy. And he's an advocate, he's a very strong advocate for multilingual learners, for our English language learners. So he suggested some amendments that we could put into this resolution to kind of expand it, because there is some effort underway at the state level to expand the number of languages that are, you know, translated for official communications, to add Italian, Polish, and Yiddish. And so he suggested we could add that. And so rather than try to up here, you know, like amend the resolution to add that, I suggest that we go back and we add the language, and we come back next month and we vote on 267, the resolution about the multi-language supports for the SHACT. We vote on that next month. That's so I'd like to make that motion, and I'd like to ask someone to second.
Is there a second? Second by Councilmember Patel. I think it was Patel. I think we can take it to a vote now, right? Procedurally, Lynn?
So there's the motion is to table, motion on the floor is to table resolution 267 to next month's calendar meeting. Motion's been seconded. Someone to call the roll, vote now. Pre, Allison, Daniela is here, Gavin, Charles. Okay. Maud is not here, so Jessica here, Sarah, Sabina's not here. I'll agree. And Greg. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we have 6 in favor, 2 no. The motion does not need 7. Just for people out there, you need 7 votes for the council to do anything. So we do not have the votes. Also, I would just ask our student members, would you like to vote on that? Oh, okay. I don't know if they were out there.
Yeah, no, they. And hold on one second. I apologize. I did not call for discussion. I do apologize. Did anybody want to, and we can revote if people want to, but does anybody want to say anything else about this?
I just want to point out that it would be wonderful to have our ELL representative here while we vote on an ELL resolution. And we put it forward. We didn't know she wasn't going to be here. So I just want to appeal to Pre and Allison to say, we would want Maud's voice as she represents the ELL students. And we definitely really want to get those Yiddish language personally. Yep, it's one of the languages we want to put in the amendment, because my grandparents came here, were speaking Yiddish, and it's kind of cool. So it'd be nice to have it. Anyway, that's not the point. The point is, I'd really like to have the ELL rep here. So that was one of the reasons we wanted to table it. And so just, and I appreciate it. I think Charles gets that too as well. I appreciate that, because I know he's focused on education focused resolutions.
What we're talking about is just tabling. It's not the actual resolution. So. Now we're going to move to a discussion of the resolution.
So I think probably the simplest way, if we had more time, I would do something more, complete, but in the second to the last, therefore be it resolved. And other council members, other sponsors can weigh in on this, but Just say therefore be it further resolved that CEC2 calls upon NYCPS to offer the SHSAT in multiple languages, including the current DOE languages, which are, there's English plus 9 others, so in the current languages are Arabic, Bengali, Bangla, Chinese, French, Haitian Creole, Korean, Russian, Spanish, and Urdu. So it would say in multiple languages, including the current DOE languages plus Italian, Polish, and Yiddish.
So first, is there a motion to amend?
I make the motion to make that.
Okay. Does anyone second that motion? Okay. So there's a motion on the floor. Do you want discussion on that motion to amend? Discussion on the motion. The motion to include the language, the second last paragraph, therefore be it further resolved that CEC2 calls upon NYCPS to offer the SAT in multiple languages, including the current DOE languages, including Urdu, Yiddish. Any other language? And we're gonna have a vote on that. Three. Allison. Danielle is not here. Gavin. Charles. That's 2 times you've agreed with Gavin. I don't know. Maybe we Maud is not here. Sonal. Jessica here. Sarah. Sabina is not here. I say yes. Right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That motion to amend passes. Our student representatives are not.
Thank you. So,
just for everyone out there, just so you know, the student representatives are in the middle of midterms. So that's why they're not here.
Okay, so now we will move to discussion of the resolution as amended. I'm going to read the name of the resolution one more time, just so everybody is aware. Resolution urging New York City Public Schools to promote inclusion of and correct bias against English language learners in the administration of the CHSAT and admissions to specialized high schools. Would anybody like to discuss this?
So first, I want to say I do appreciate the sponsors recognizing that we do have tremendous diversity, especially in languages in New York City. There's no question about it. I think we should do more to accommodate people who have in their native languages. I don't think that's a question at all. That's should even be up for debate. However, we did have a speaker. I think it was Al Su here last time. Who talked about the fact that the schools that we're talking about for the SHSAT are some of the most competitive schools in New York City, and they're some of the most rigorous schools in our city. And their curriculums are administered in English. Now, there is a whereas clause in the resolution which states students in gifted and talented programs are given the admissions test in different languages. I do think there is a fundamental distinction. Children who get a gifted and talented test are usually around 4 or 5 years old. So there's certainly time to develop language skills. When you're entering high school, it's quite a lot to chew and to expect a student to be proficient if they're not proficient in English in those classes that are required. And I think the numbers pointed out, I think your own resolution talks about the number of ELLs in these specialized high schools. I don't know if that's necessarily a result of the fact that the test is not administered in different languages. I think it's just the fact that you have to be English proficient at that level to be competitive for admission to those schools. The other thing that concerns me is we've seen this before, that opponents of the SHSAT tend to focus on attacking the test now. And that's that's approach because we've seen what happened with gifted and talented programs. They attack the test. Usually it's on equity basis. Now we've seen language. I think this test has been in effect for, I don't know, maybe 100 years now. It works. Could we do more to meet our ELLs? Absolutely. But I think fundamentally, there should be an expectation that by the time you're in ninth grade, you should, and if you're applying to a specialized high school, the most rigorous, some of the most rigorous, I don't want to make a generalization, but some of the most rigorous schools in our city, you should really be proficient in English and be able to take a test in English. So do not support this resolution, although I do truly understand the concerns of the sponsors, and I think it's admirable, but I think it's misguided. And again, I'm concerned that it's again a backdoor attack on the SHSAT and the test, which works. It's been around for a long time, and it really has left our specialized high schools some of the best schools, not only in the city of New York, not only in the state of New York, but in the entire United States. And that's why I oppose this resolution.
Does anybody else wish to speak on the resolution? Okay, I'm going to recognize Councilmember Fry first. You've spoken already. Okay, go ahead, Gavin.
Thank you, Pri. So I would say if I really wanted to attack the SHSAT, I would attack it because there are only 7 Black students admitted to Stuyvesant. It's
please let him speak. Please let him speak. Okay, please, please don't do that. Okay. I have recognized Councilmember Healy. Please let him speak.
Math was never my best subject, but it's really easy to count a single digit number. It's like 7. Okay.
Okay.
Anyway, I want to ask
Charles, let Gavin speak. Let him speak. Okay, you did. Okay. You keep repeating stuff. Let him, if he wants to answer, he can answer. If he doesn't have to. Go ahead, Gavin.
I don't think I'm filibustering. I think there's filibustering over here. But I would also add that
Okay, please let Gavin speak. Okay, let him answer if he answers. Okay, but you're not letting Charles, you're not giving him a chance, please.
See, this is what place NYC brings to our councils. So there's also, you can also count.
Okay, let him finish his sentence, please, Charles. Okay, Charles, thank you. Okay, Charles, we have Charles. Okay, time out. Okay, Charles, can I speak? Let me speak. Gavin, please wait. Let me speak. Guys, Gavin, okay, Charles, before you speak, Gavin, before you speak, it is 9 o'clock. It is after 9 o'clock. No, let me finish. We still have, Charles, please let me finish. Okay. We have several items on the agenda. We still have this discussion. We also have to get through the school construction requests. They are due in 2 days. So if we don't pass them tonight, there are schools that are going to suffer because we will not recognize. So please let us get through this. Thank you.
I have like 60 seconds worth of stuff I want to say. I could have been done a long time ago. I also want to point out.
Charles, come on. Charles, let him have his 60 seconds. Charles, I would like to get to the school construction authority requests. So let Charles speak. Let Gavin speak. Then he doesn't have to answer. Nobody has to answer a question. He can speak what he wants to speak.
So I also want to point out
Okay, Gavin does not have to answer that if he doesn't want to. Charles, okay. Charles, I will let you speak after. Charles, I would let you speak, but I'd like to be respectful to other. I'd like to be respectful of Bree. Bree has been waiting also to speak.
So I also want to point out.
Okay.
I also want to point out.
I don't think Gavin wants to have an answer, please.
I also want to point out the woefully inadequate number.
Charles, please, Charles, come on, Charles.
Place NYC, folks. This is what it gets.
Okay.
This message was brought to you by Place NYC.
Okay. We are going to adjourn the meeting for people for 5 minutes, to take everybody to have a pause. I now declare this meeting, we're adjourned for 5 minutes. It is now 9:07. We will start again at 9:12. Thank you. Okay, if everybody can go back to their seats, please. Okay, if everybody can go back to their seats, we're gonna start up again. We're gonna try to start up again. It's here somewhere. Victor? Okay, we're gonna try to start again. If everybody could please sit. Thank you. Okay, so. Thank you. We're going to try to take a reset. Okay. I'm going to recognize right now Council Member Oparai, who has not spoken about this issue at all.
Craig, I was not done speaking. Okay. I'd like to, yeah, I'll yield to Councilmember Boparai.
All right, thank you. I'm glad we can get restarted again. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. So I'm here to share, in my opinion, I know that we added the inclusion of the DOE languages to the statement now, which still does not represent the language that I speak and the language that I spoke when I came to this country, which represents at least 1% of our students in all of New York City. So that besides that, I also want to share why it's not the best interest for English language learners or students to attend specialized high schools, New York, which are currently they only offer instruction in English. So first, the statistics show that from 2023 to 2024 school year, only 4 English language learners were enrolled across all specialized high schools. So this stark number isn't just a coincidence. It's evidence of a systemic challenge. Specialized high schools rely heavily, as Len mentioned, on advanced English language intensive instruction. So if students take the SHSAT in their native languages, even if they pass, they're likely to struggle with the day-to-day realities of English-only curriculum. So this sets them up for frustration and failure rather than success. So second, implementing the SHSAT in multiple language is not technically a practical solution, especially in a high school level. So translating and maintaining consistency across languages would require an enormous number of content specialists and resources. So the real solution lies not in lowering barriers, but in equipping our ELL students with the tools they need to overcome them. So rather than focusing on a multilingual SHSAT, let's look at the success stories of our English language students who have navigated this system, including myself. I was not at that time able to be taking the SHSAT because it wasn't available. I mean, obviously in the language, but I succeeded in other ways. So their resilience and strategies, be it through intensive language programs or additional academic support, are what we should replicate and scale. So inclusion cannot come at the expense of setting students up to fail. Let's prioritize giving our ELL students the skills they need to thrive in specialized high school. Thank you.
Thank you.
Are you gonna recognize me? Thank you. So I understand that. Okay, I'm just gonna talk.
I think you should just.
I understand that, but we are talking about a deficit mindset that you're saying we're setting students up to fail, but you know what? It's up to students if they want to fail or not. It's up to students to get that opportunity. And the other thing I'm going to mention is the other group of students that is woefully underrepresented in all main schools.
Please let him speak.
And that's students with disabilities. And students with disabilities
point of order,
are just as capable.
Council member Healy
as
has the
other
floor.
students. And they don't get the respect that they deserve. And many students have been pushed out of those schools, counseled out of those schools, and they deserve to be supported in those schools. So if I really wanted to attack those schools for their inequity, I would also point to the lack of students with disabilities in those schools. And it has nothing to do with their ability to handle the curriculum. It has everything to do with schools providing the federally mandated supports that they should be providing for them, and which they're not. And so those are all really important. You know the number. You absolutely know the number. I told you many times.
Okay. Are you, sorry, are you done?
So anyway, I am the IEP representative on this committee. That means I am the chair of the Students with Disabilities Committee. And I came into this council because I wanted to represent students with disabilities who I felt were ignored and even disrespected by this council, who felt unwelcome here. And you know what? They are unwelcome here. They are disrespected because even when I try to talk about them, I can't because I'm having somebody talk over them. And this is and again, this is a message brought to you by Place NYC.
Charles,
Place NYC does not want to hear me tell you about students with disabilities not being represented in our screen schools. Does not want to tell you about English language learners not being represented in those schools. Does not want me to tell you about Black students not being represented in those schools. So that's what I'm trying to do. And, I'll leave it at that. And, Charles will say what he wants to say because that's just who he is. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, let's move on. Okay. Hold on, let me, okay. Anybody who hasn't spoken, okay, please, come on, we have other business, please, there's a public session. There's a second, ma'am, there's a second public session, please sit. Thank you. Okay. Charles. I did, I said your name. Yeah, I said your name.
What I think about, I think that it's important that everyone has a strong opportunity to be successful on the test. And believing that, I want to know how many Black students we need to have at these specialized schools, Gavin, in order for them to be successful. 7 is not enough. There must be a right number. I'd like to know what that right number is. No, because I want to achieve that right number, but I don't know what it is. I want more. Don't you all want more students in the school? So you don't want more students in the school?
Okay. Thank you, Charles. And now you will. I'd like to make a comment. Okay. He's done. I would just like to make a comment. Okay, well, do what you have to do. I can't tell you what to do. Okay. So I'd like to speak on the resolution. Can I speak? I'd like to speak on the resolution. Okay. Thank you. Okay. So I would like to read. Okay, come on. We have other things. We'd like to get through this. I'd like to get through the SEA requests. These are important construction requests for some of our neediest schools most in need. Okay, please have that in heart. Okay, so I do agree with the points that Len and Pri have made. One comment I would like to make is that within the test itself, or what will be the new test, for students who do have some mastery, but do have some issues with the English language, and I'm going to quote, "The vendor will also provide translation glossaries in the DOE's standard supporting languages to increase access for students who speak home languages other than English." So to some extent, this is addressed to help those kids. That's what I wanted to just make that. But that is from the Pearson contract. That's not my opinion. That's what's been signed. Okay. So I'm now going to close the discussion of resolutions. We will now go to the second public speaker session. How many people do we have? 7. Okay. Now, can we reduce because we're tight on time? Is everyone okay with 1 minute? Okay. You're okay with 1 minute? Thank you. Okay. 1 minute. Okay. The first person to speak, when I call your name, please come down. Joe Vital. Again, I apologize. I'm gonna do a Len and apologize ahead of time. Joe Vital. Jay Berlin is second. Shannon is third.
I spoke before and I'm going to reiterate everything as if it was already said. So just, transplant my previous talk onto this one and I'll add some new information because obviously I still support resolution 248 and I still resist any resolution that would deplete it or rescind it. What I wanted to add to my previous talk was that obviously trans is not the same as woman. And I hate to say biological woman because that should be understood by the word woman. But what I want to say is that there's a different entity called trans health in the medical system. So obviously trans people are not the same. A trans, quote unquote, trans woman is not the same as a biological woman because there's such an entity as transsexual health in the medical fields. The other thing I want to say is that if a woman is not secure in her own vulva power, she's definitely going to be indoctrinated. So you're going to have biological women come up here and support things like 54125, which I mentioned before is the actual ICD-10 code for the amputation of the penis, because the real beneficiaries of this is the medical world. And then let me just complete my sentence, because they stand to make over $1 million for each person who gets on this medical merry-go-round. And thank you, Gays Against Groomers, and thank you, Roar Women, and thank you, the people right here.
Jay Berlin. And then next is, okay, next is Shannon and then Ms. Daniels.
Good evening, and I thank you for hearing my questions. Now that we have quorum this month, I hope that this repetition is of service. I'm the parent of 2 kids in the DOE, so maybe you'll consider giving me 2 minutes. My 2 kids are really eager to join sports teams that are inclusive of all children. As a parent, the resolutions that District 2 condones do inform what my district condones, and therefore it does concern my children. When I try to understand the nitty-gritty of the enforcement of 248, it gets very creepy and disconcerting. It seems like an egregious violation of children's privacy. Can you clarify, please, council, your idea of your implementation plan? I would also like to ask, as an NYC taxpayer protective of public school funding, what District 2 funding you would spend on implementing 248s. If it won't be rescinded, I would like to ask again for the council to publicly account for its constituents what funds you would divert to pay educators tasked with investigating students signing up for sports. Budget cuts ended the extracurricular activities at my child's school last year. 248 seems to demand taxpayer time investigating children's biological sex. Am I misunderstanding the policy? Who would you task to enforce Resolution 248? Or would this resolution depend on accusations based on perceived gender identity? And have you enacted a resolution that relies on the volunteer service hours of bullies? Who do you think those bullies will come for? Only trans kids?
Thank you.
The enforcement of Resolution 248 will require the policing of all District 2 bodies. All District 2 bodies. What if instead the council rescinded 248 and spend that time on money, on something else,
respect the 1 minute,
like education? Thank you.
Hiya, council. I had a preamble, but I'm going to skip it in the interest of being a 1 minute. Let's talk about the room and the contrast that is clear here. There's an us and a them. They have hateful signs. We have snacks, which you're still welcome to, by the way. I think we still have some pretzels. They have insults. They call us groomers and pedophiles. We have a conflict de-escalation team. I know because I trained them. They claim they are silenced, yet they just elected a felon who ran on openly on anti-trans rhetoric. They say that they just want to have a conversation, but we had one such conversation on Monday. There's no conversation. There was a heavily restricted Q&A. I know because I tried to have a dialogue. I couldn't. I was not allowed. They have hate and we have love. They have a council member who hurls insults at other council members. We just don't have that. And Charles, by the way, I don't give a damn about changing your mind. I care about policy. You can have your beliefs all you want. You can go home and believe whatever you want. But when those beliefs create policy that causes harm, I will be using my minute. Thank you, Charles. When you have beliefs that causes harm, then I care. And by the way, we did just take a poll on who supports LGBT equality. It was called the Equal Rights Act. It passed 62.5%. 4.7 million people in the state support this. I do not believe I was interrupted. I was interrupted. Thank you. I don't think Charles speaks for the people on this. Council, it is never too late to do the right thing. You joined this council to make a positive difference. You still can, here, now, tonight, with quorum.
Hi, folks. I come out this every month because, this weird hobby is so much fun. Listening them yell at each other and hurl insults. Like it really is what makes my day. I will say we're not here to change your mind. We're here to build power and to vote them out. Equivalent 248 just passed nationally through the House earlier this week, attempting to attack trans girls playing sports. And what we've seen around the country is that it starts there and then it slides further. It slides such that, next we maybe don't let trans kids use their name and pronouns. Maybe we don't let them have healthcare. Maybe we don't let them exist. Maybe we get to the point where we are calling for them to be eradicated. Something that, somebody who may be taking office next week has kind of done. So I think it's important that we all come out and that we stop it now before we let it go further. Thank you.
The next, is Calliope still here? Is Calliope? Is Calliope still here? Oh, there you go. Okay, Calliope, August, and Amy.
It's a minute this time, right? Okay, I'm going to talk really, really fast. Everyone here has the potential to make the world a more loving place, a more welcoming place, a place that is more just. I want you to picture a beautiful utopia where we can feed our community, use a toilet without fear, and play sports because they're fun. I want our girls, all of our girls, to feel loved, and I want everyone to feel loved. Are you ready to fight for that? They want us to be hopeless. Have you given up hope? Have you given up on love? Have you given up on each other? Transgender people are not new. Before we were transgender, we were healers, spiritual advisors, revolutionaries, warriors. We were Rebecca's daughters, a group of cross-dressing vigilantes in the American South that smashed toll booths to protest unfair taxation. We were General Ludd's wife, revolutionaries in England who donned women's clothing and led a rebellion to protest unfair working conditions for loom factory workers. We are Mahu, we are Two-Spirit, we are Bisu. We have always been here, and we always will be. Last thing, I want you to repeat after me. I am brave.
Thank you. Thank you.
I am strong. I am my ancestors' wildest dreams. Thank you.
He wanted to speak on the resolution about the ELL and the SHSAT. I took the SHSAT. I go to a specialized high school. I go to STI. And I think that allowing the SHSAT to be administered in multiple languages would help widen the community that STI serves and help it better represent its city. STI is arguably the flagship of New York City public schools. It's very well known. It's very well renowned, but unfortunately it doesn't represent our city demographically. And Charles, to answer your question, the right amount of Black kids at STI is one that makes it so that the proportion of Black kids at STI is the same as the proportion of Black kids in the overall New York City school system. It's simple. And I think allowing ELL students to take the SHSAT would reduce this inequality, and I think it is an important policy to pursue in the most linguistically diverse city in the world. Thank you.
Thank you. And the final speaker is Amy. Thank you, Ms. Shore.
I just wanted to speak because it sounds like you haven't heard from a lot of parents, and there seemed to be some question of that. I have two kids that are now in high school, in schools within District 2. They're both cisgendered, a boy and a girl. They've both done a lot of sports. So my son has run track, he has played baseball, he has played soccer. My daughter has run cross country, she has played lacrosse, she has played soccer. They have played with trans kids. They both welcome trans kids to their teams. They are part of the team. They are studying for midterms, but they asked me to come and say that first they said to say that they don't care. Everybody should be able to play, but then they amended it and said I should say that they care deeply, because these are the kids they go to the potato cart with at lunch. And these are the kids that they're studying with in their classes, and they're the kids that they do things with after school, and they should be the kids that they can be able to participate together in sports in ways that they're comfortable. So, thank you.
Thank you. And that concludes, thank you. That concludes the, sorry. Julie. That concludes the second public speaker sessions. We'll now go on to vote on resolutions. Does someone like to make a motion?
So I'd like to make a motion to approve resolution number 266 entitled Resolution to Affirm CECD2 support of NYCPS guidelines to support transgender and gender expansive students and rescind resolution number 248. Does anyone second that motion? Going to call roll call vote. Three. Allison. Danielle is not here. Gavin. Charles. Maud's not here. Sonal. Jessica's not here. Sarah. Sabina's not here. I'm going to abstain. Right? Okay, 3 votes yes, 1 vote no, 4 abstentions. The motion is not passed, or 2 student representatives are not present. I'd like to make a motion to approve resolution number 267 as amended, resolution urging New York City public schools to promote inclusion of and correct bias against English language learners in the administration of the SHSAT and admissions to specialized high schools with the amendment that was previously mentioned. Does anyone want to second that motion? I will now call a roll call vote for that. We're voting on to approve resolution 267. Pre. Allison. Danielle is not here. Gavin. Charles. With the amended. Okay, Maud's not here. Sonal. Jessica is not here. Sarah. Sabina's not here. I vote no. Greg. That's 3 votes yes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 votes no. The motion does not pass. Our 2 student representatives are not present.
Thank you. We'll now move to the minutes. There are 2 sets of minutes. We'll first start with the draft minutes of the November 20th meeting. Does anybody have any comments or corrections? Hearing none, the minutes are approved. I'm going to move to the draft minutes of the December 18th, 2024 CECD2 minutes. Does anybody have any comments or corrections? Hearing none, the minutes are approved. We'll go to new business. Any has new business? And then we will adjourn the meeting. Does anybody take a vote by show of hands to adjourn the meeting and go into the next one? Anybody oppose? Sorry, I didn't ask for a discussion. Okay. I know. Let's go directly into the working business meeting. I'm going to call this working business meeting of CECD2 to order. I'm going to ask the vice president to do a roll call.
Roll call. Pre. Allison. Daniela is absent. Gavin. Charles. Maud is not here. Sonal. Jessica, not here. Sarah. Sabina is not here. I am here and Craig is here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 people being present, 4 being absent. We do have a quorum. Our 2 student members are not here.
Thank you. We're going to start with the treasurer's report. Do you have anything, Pri? I guess let me before you read your report. Do you know, and maybe Victor can answer, has the approvals been made at DOE to do reimbursements? Like, I know they were like in the system. Okay, so sorry, I just wanted for the 3 of you. So just because you had asked about this last, Victor is still waiting to hear back to get the formal approval from the DOE for reimbursement. So it's
So Victor, everyone has until June to submit. Yeah. So you have until June.
but face rep this is at one of our face reps, not our but one of the face reps.
Thank you for being here today. Thank you.
Do you have any idea when we can get, because we've been waiting for quite a while. We submitted this months ago. Like, can you work with Victor tomorrow to push it forward? I understand that, but I think Victor has been with Sunny and is not getting any answers. If it's me, yeah. If I have to do it, I'll do it. I just don't know who to do. Like, I don't know who Sunny is. So, okay. Thank you. Okay. The second question I have on the treasury report, Victor, did we submit the as amended one? Because remember, we did an allocation for the President's Council. So, but we've submitted it. Okay, that's fine. Do you have anything else on the treasury report?
Just want to tell everyone that we can still submit, even if from last term. If you felt that you missed the deadline, since we have the funding, please put your, expenses in. Yeah. We can switch.
What did we do? We voted on.
More than 1,000.
I think it was 1,500.
Yeah, 1,500. That's right. That's right.
Okay. So, thank you. Moving along on the annual capital requests. So, each of us have liaison schools, and one of our functions is to speak with our liaison school to see what capital requests they do need. They want us to advocate for. Also, if and when we do our visits, we can see things ourselves that we think that there might be gaps. Each of us, or several of us, put in requests, and we met, a smaller group of us met last week with SCA, the School Construction Authority. No, actually, we met with school facilities, and we went through all of the requests. A lot of the requests actually do not go through SCA. They're what's called Reso A, right? Reso A, which goes through the city council or the borough president. So there actually only are 2 requests that we are proposing. One was from a school that I put in for, another one was from a school, and another one was from a school that Councilmember Healy advocated for. I'm going to speak about mine, but I'm first going to let Councilmember Healy speak about his if you'd like. And then I'll speak about mine. We have to prioritize them. I think that in our sort of pre-meeting, I think we had an agreement as what we thought was the priority. I think I can say it now. And my feeling was Councilmember Healy's priority should be priority 1. My priority should be priority 2. I can give the reasons why when I speak again. But Councilmember Healy, do you want to talk about your school? I'd rather you speak about your school. Yeah.
So my school is PS 51. It's on the west side. It's on 44th Street and 10th. It's a school that it has about a third of its students are students in temporary housing. It was zoned at one point it's zoned for 8 different shelters. And so they have about 450 students, close to 200, I think, actually were students in temporary housing. This was actually even before the influx of asylum seekers. They had a lot of students in temporary housing. And so the community has really come together and tried to create a safe and welcoming space for those students. As the principal said to me, she wanted to make sure that when students are in the school building, like even if they are poor, nobody feels poor inside the school building. And that really resonated with me. The school has a few needs, and I think specifically what we talked about in terms of the SCA was I believe the playground on the rooftop. And was that correct? Sorry, I'm just.
I think that was
Okay.
it. Yeah, yeah. That's why I wanted you to speak about it. I didn't remember exactly.
They need a playground resurfacing because they have a lot of the paving bricks have come up, so it's kind of a dangerous space for the students. It's also the lighting is very dim, so it's not a very good space for them, particularly like in times like these when it gets dark very early. And also the rooftop needs some work because a lot of these students, it's not an area with a lot of parks on the west side, like Hell's Kitchen area, and students are living in shelters, so having a rooftop with like a trellis, some shade, and that's resurfaced would also be beneficial.
Thank you. And we can get into a discussion after, but I'm fully supportive. It's a very noble cause and certainly needed. The school that I want to talk about is actually not my liaison school. I pinch hit for Councilmember Serenese, who was not. I knew some people at the school, and I was at the school. It's a school called Ballet Tech, which serves students from grades 4 through 8. And as you can tell from the name, it's a school that focuses on dance. The school takes students from all over the city. It's 3 floors in a commercial office building on Broadway near Union Square. And the student population is now 100. They are going to ramp up over the next 5 years to 200. I think it's one of those quote unquote forgotten schools. And the reason why is because when you have these reserve grants from council members, it's very easy for a zone school to go to a council member and say, hey, you have all your residents, all your constituents are in this school, please support it. And the council member, wants to do it. So it gets votes. Ballet Tech, there is no one council member who has all of the kids. It's spread out all over the city. The building is actually fairly old. It does serve a fairly diverse population. And what they need in the school and what I'd like to advocate for is a public address and bell system. So they have, in the event of a fire, they have the fire bells, but there is no public address system. So if the principal wants to speak on to the entire school, she cannot. There is no bell system between classes, or if there's a fire drill, there is no bell to do that. That is a huge safety issue for me. As they ramp up from 100 to 200 students, I think the problem is even compounded. So I'd like to advocate for that. One of the issues in the past, and I'll just go quickly, one of the issues in that school is, as I said, 3 floors in a commercial office building. It's rented. The DOE rents it from, some landlord, and the DOE did not want to make an investment in that school or in that system if they were just going to be there for a short term. The school did just sign a 10-year lease. So the school will be there a lot for quite a while, and facilities did say that given it's a 10-year lease, they would be supportive of that. I just to comment on why I think that should be the second priority, and Councilmember Healy should be the first. We could go either way, and I think probably Councilmember Healy might say the same thing. But number one, I think that the needs are more immediate at Councilmember Healy's school, and number two, it sounded from the conversations we had last week that everybody was very supportive of Ballet Tech. Everybody knew about the issues at Ballet Tech with the PA system and the bells. So I got the impression that Councilmember Healy, PS 51, needs to be number one more than Ballet Tech. But I think they're both very valuable. So that is the recommendation from the sort of pre-meeting.
May I ask a question? So does Ballet Tech have a playground?
Okay.
Still.
With the chair's
but it's
permission,
still fourth graders and fifth graders.
with the chair's permission, can we do a vote? And so what you're gonna do here is I'm gonna call this out and you rank them PS 150, PS 51, either give me a 1 or a 2 when I call your name, because they have to be ranked. So we'll do it that way.
Wait,
51 is Gavin, and Ballet Tech is Craig.
Okay, but we're just voting on those number 2, because the top 5 when he
Yes,
said.
but we're still ranking them. We'll still ranking them.
Shouldn't we, well, shouldn't we wait for our top five to have like everybody? Oh,
Okay. Yeah. So, all right, yeah, with chair's permission, I'm just gonna call the vote. So, between 51 and Valley Tech, do you have a preference?
I'd say Valley Tech would be number one for safety.
Okay. Allison, PS 51 and Valley Tech, do you have a ranking preference between those two? 51 first? Daniela's not here. Gavin, I'm assuming 51. Charles. Wow, it's 3 times today. Maud is not here. Sonal. Jessica's not here. Sarah. Sabina's not here. I say 51 first. Greg. Okay. So I'm just gonna total it up to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 ones and 1, 2, and the other one is to reverse. So the first choice will be PS 51 for SCA request. The second choice will be Valley Tech. In terms of the rankings.
Thank you, everybody. We have maybe 3 minutes left because I got to pack up also. Is there anybody that has a very quick school liaison update? Very, very quick, please. All right, thank you. Childcare at CEC meetings. We spoke about this. Victor has tried to get information on it. It doesn't seem like anybody, Victor, correct me if I'm wrong, but it doesn't sound like anyone is really doing it anymore. I mean, you check with other CECs, you check with FACE, and we couldn't get right pricing. And there were issues. When I spoke to FACE about it, the issues were insurance. That's very expensive because you have to actually hire somebody that's been fingerprinted. I think, see our FACE rep is nodding. Does anybody, we can pursue this at the next meeting if you want, but does anybody? Tonight.
We can't, people can have kids.
That was the least, to me, that was the least of the issues. Okay. Okay. Is there anything else?
No, but I am having tomorrow. So I'm just wondering, if there was, I'm sorry. I'm just asking, can I submit it at least? If there is a reason?
We have to vote on it. That's the problem. And we can't. She's going to a school tomorrow and she wants to know for last minute. I think we can't because we can't even have another meeting because we wouldn't have enough time to notice the meeting. So unfortunately.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I was going to get to. Yes. Yeah. So if there are needs, and the needs may not all be SCA, we can talk about it tomorrow. They could be Reso-A, they could be facilities, has to fix something. Speak to me and we'll resolve it. Okay. And that being said, I think we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, security. Appreciate it. Thank you, Victor. Thank you, FACE. Thank you for everyone who stayed. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Good night, John Boy.